604 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing, starting you off at 78 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge, on our way to about 88 before it's all said and done. Yeah, you heard that forecast from McKay Cowan right there. Yes, we're bracing for another round of the nasty over the weekend. We'll get to all that as the show wears on. We've got a busy show for you. Scott Payne, former FBI agent. We've teased this interview before and then could not come up with the audio. It's a pre-recorded interview. Could not come up with the audio, although we have it now. He's a former FBI agent. His book is called Codename Pale Horse. He infiltrated basically a bunch of neo-Nazis, like in the backwoods. Fascinating stories, fascinating book. We'll hear from him at 6:35. We've got the folks from Lake Urgent Care on board today. ABC's Jim Ryan's going to preview the upcoming hurricane season. Rodney Mallet from DOTD in the next hour. We got a number of topics to cover there. Whitney Hoffman Sayal from the Downtown Development District in the 8 o'clock hour, and District Attorney Hiller Moore in the 8 o'clock hour as well. That's right. No Foodie Friday today, Sean. No Foodie Friday today. I'm hungry for justice.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, after the guys from Corks last week, I'm still full. It's a week later and I'm still full.
That was so good.
Full slate ready to run your roll your way. Let's get after it. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
Rough going overnight out in Prairieville on the interstate. Fire crews were on the scene of a head-on collision involving an 18-wheeler and another vehicle on 10 eastbound just over the Ascension Parish line out in Prairieville. Firefighters were dispatched, like I said, just after 1:30 in the morning. Officials say both vehicles in the accident caught fire. We're still waiting to find out a whole lot of the details surrounding this. For example, was anyone actually hurt? Or was this just a matter of the vehicles being on fire? We'll have more for you as the morning wears on. Hopefully, state police are investigating the crash. Both the St. George and Prairieville fire departments responded to it.
Number 4.
Starting Sunday, drivers will see a new 4-lane configuration at the end of the westbound College Drive exit ramp at the traffic signal. 2 lanes will take you south on College Drive. 1 lane will go north, and the lane that goes to the right will put you directly on Corporate Boulevard. We're going to talk about this and a few other topics with Rodney Mallet coming up at 7:35.
Number 3.
Let's head out to Livingston Parish. Deputies responded to the body of a male being found on Lively Street in Denham Springs Thursday night. Officials said investigation is ongoing to determine if foul play is suspected. There is no other information available at this time.
Number 2.
2 people were killed in a plane crash down in Lafourche Parish. Bodies were recovered Thursday night. The crash happened around 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Wreckage was found in a marshy area near Raceland. The 2 victims were identified by officials as Lyle Panapinto and Lauren Minkelmeller. The WWL in New Orleans added the only 1 wing was visible above the water. Officials said the plane was en route to Houma from Belle Chase.
Number 1.
The trial Houma to Belle Chase. It ended up in Raceland. Wow. Okay. The trial of a man accused of sexually abusing 3 of his foster children began yesterday morning. 54-year-old Michael Haddon has been sitting in jail for nearly 3 years awaiting this trial. Haddon's facing several charges, including sexual battery, molestation of a juvenile, and aggravated crimes against nature. What's trending, John?
Well, the Dow Jones fell 4% yesterday, and the S&P 500 had its worst day in 5 years as the markets respond to Donald Trump's tariffs.
Yeah. Now, markets are going to bounce back. That's what markets do.
Of course.
But this is a bad start. This is to not see any confidence behind it. Not see any, scared money don't pay. Scared money don't
You're
pay.
right.
And right now we're looking at scared money.
Yes, we are.
So
Not off to a good
no.
start.
You don't want to take too much away from one day of the markets, right? I fully expect the markets to have another bad day today, and they'll start rebounding next week.
It'll be a slow, it'll be a slow
Yeah.
uphill climb, right? Former LSU quarterback TJ Finley was arrested Wednesday by Tulane police and was booked into the Orleans Parish Jail for one count of theft over $25,000.
So allegedly he bought a stolen car?
Allegedly, and they're claiming it was he was defrauded by the people that sold him the truck.
Okay.
So,
Well, TJ Finley, who I believe has played for 5 or 6 different universities now, or Tulane would have been his 5th, I should say. I think that's right. Anyway,
you can look into it.
and
But
he is not. I mean, it has just been since graduating Ponchatoula High. It has been a weird route for him. Yeah.
Of course, he's suspended from the team.
Of course,
to be expected.
Yeah.
Just for those who may not be familiar with this story, but yeah, I mean, swindled by a guy, allegedly, right? Allegedly. Hey, Brian, tomorrow is Dale Brown Day in Baton Rouge. That's another trending story here.
We got to find a spot to squeeze this into the rundown somewhere.
Yeah.
This is kind of a cool thing.
Really
paired
cool.
up with Final Four Saturday. Dale Brown, of course, taking LSU to 2 Final Fours. So that's very cool. But just honoring a dude who not only coached basketball but changed culture in Baton Rouge and throughout the state of Louisiana. I readily admit, I boast that Dale Brown's why I came to LSU.
Really?
Yes,
that's
Dale
amazing.
Brown is why I came to LSU.
That's amazing.
And I wasn't going to play college basketball. Made up my mind about where I was going to school back when I was a kid, when I thought I could play college basketball. But he is a big part of the reason why I ended up here. So just definitely, like I said, a culture changer. And I want to hear Dale Brown stories. Like that's what I'd like. It's just nothing but stories. I don't know. We'll find a spot somewhere along the way in the rundown to talk about tomorrow being Dale Brown Day. Those are your trending stories. We are coming up on 6:11 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We are due up for a break. Before we take that break, though, I know it's only 6:11 in the morning, but do you have your lunch plans yet? I mean, if you're already meeting with somebody somewhere, maybe text him and say, "Hey, can we go do PF Chang's instead?" And you're thinking, Brian, it's a Friday in Lent. I'm not going to PF Chang's. I can't have chicken. I can't have beef. Oh, but you can have shrimp. You absolutely can still have shrimp. You can have the firecracker shrimp. You can have the miso glazed salmon, which could not be better. Laying on top of that bed of broccoli, the miso glazed salmon. Underrated spot on the PF Chang's menu. Of course, I'm not going to try and sell you on Mongolian tofu, but if you wanted to, that would still technically be meatless. Firecracker shrimp is my go-to, though. If I'm going and I'm not having the sesame beef, the firecracker shrimp is phenomenal. It's got a lot of pop to it, but you taste all the flavor. It's not just the spice. Where do you find PF Chang's? You'll find them in Town Center. That's right off Corbin Boulevard. Look for the giant golden horse. Coming back, LSU baseball. More to the point, Cade Anderson. Cade Anderson's a man. We'll talk about it next.
For service you can feel, you gotta call Capital City Comfort.
Spring is here, and the experts at Capital City Comfort want to guarantee your comfort with a new energy-efficient Rheem HVAC system. This spring, take advantage of special financing and expert installation on all new units.
For service you can feel, you gotta call Capital City Comfort.
Visit capitalcitycomfort-br.com. Our 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon, presented by the Baton Rouge Clinic, is happening right now, and we couldn't make dreams come true without your help. This year, Service Chevrolet, Luba, Subaru of Baton Rouge, and Duplessis Builders have each pledged to match your donations once we reach $2,000. Whatever amount you can spare will get us that much closer to making more dreams come true for local kids suffering life-threatening illnesses.
Visit talk1073.com to donate today.
Hey, fellow Gen Xers, it's Elizabeth Banks. Big news. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the charge. After all, we gave the world the internet. We're trailblazers. Let's lead the way.
616 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. LSU has a one game to none lead over Oklahoma in their 3-game set. Game 2 will be tonight. Last night, it was all about Cade Anderson. Jared Jones, Chris Stanfield, they got the 2 RBI that led to the 2-0 score. Yes, that was the difference on the scoreboard. But the real difference here was 9 innings pitched, gave up 5 hits. 100, I believe the pitch count was 135 pitches. Just a ridiculously gutted up performance by Cade Anderson. Strikes out 14 on the night. Here's how number 14 sounded.
2 gone, the 1-2, swing and a miss with a breaking ball. Ring him up. Christensen retired for the first time tonight. That is strikeout number 14 for Cade Anderson. He has finished 8 complete.
And he would go on to finish 9 as the Tigers get the dub on the road. That, of course, Chris Blair on the call on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Anderson has now 135 pitches is a lot. He's actually got an extra day of rest because next week they'll go back to a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. Game 2 in the series will be tonight. You will hear it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. I believe it's a 6:30 start time tonight. And then on Saturday, there will be a 2 p.m. start time. Meanwhile, LSU softball starts a 3-game set tonight, and they will be they're at home once again. While baseball went on the road, softball is staying at home for the weekend. They've got I apologize. Give me one quick second. Got Alabama at Tiger Park, 6 p.m. tonight, 6 p.m. tomorrow night, and then 4 p.m. on Sunday. We're going to keep an eye on the time for tomorrow because 6 p.m. is about when the weather's going to start rolling through. So they might be moving that up. I'm not speaking on their behalf. But yeah, as far as LSU softball is concerned, you'll hear that right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Talk 107.3 FM is also the home of LSU women's basketball, where next season you will find Flau'jae Johnson one more time. She made the announcement yesterday that she is coming back for her senior season, not going into the NBA draft. Our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network talk with Reed Darcy, the Advocate, says Johnson said after the team's season-ending loss to UCLA, she wants to get past the Elite Eight.
She said she was tired of getting to Elite Eight, and running into a better team and losing and just falling just short of the Final Four, right? She says she has a championship already, and she played a big role on that championship, and she's grateful she got to be on that team, and she's appreciative of it. But she says that she wanted her own championship.
Yep. And she was a freshman on that 2023 team. Angel Reese and Alexis Morris were the big leaders on that team. Darcy says Johnson seems motivated to win a title as a senior this time around.
So now that she's not a freshman, and now that she's one of the leaders on the team, and she's one of the best players in the country, maybe, I'm thinking that she'll come back for one more year and try to make one more run at a championship. And this time, maybe if she does get there, she can call it her own.
Meanwhile, Lester Poa announced that she's entering the transfer portal. I'm shocked. I thought Lester Poa was already a senior, but she might be going and looking for a bonus year. But anyway, it's 6:20. Here's the Fox Business Report. We've still got some delays on I-10 eastbound heading out towards Prairieville. This is obviously due to that overnight accident with a fire, overnight accident involving an 18-wheeler with a fire. That it was, the accident first happened around 1:30 in the morning. So obviously it's been there for a while, but the delays are still showing at this time. In fact, last update was 3 minutes ago, and we are still showing delays out there. On I-12 westbound coming in from Denham Springs, it's lighter than normal right now out by Denham. However, when you get to the area around Millerville, it's going to pick up. The volume is going to pick up for sure on 12 westbound. Lightens back up again even before Sherwood Forest. That's it for your interstates. Everything else is looking great on your interstates. Surface streets, we have 2 accidents to look out for. One from about 20 minutes ago, the other from about an hour ago. North Flannery at Waddle, there's a crash. And then about an hour ago, there was an accident Millerville at Old Hammond. So those are the 2 that are on the board right now. Actually, not that far from each other. Both are being worked by the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office and Metro Look at Traffic from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. .624, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We've got Scott Payne coming up in our next segment. We got Lake Urgent Care later on this hour. We're going to take you back to yesterday in just a second, though. One sports story that I just ran out of time on, the LSU gymnastics team has moved on. They started their postseason run with another solid performance. Top-seeded Tigers in the second round of the Penn State Regional yesterday or last night. Scored a 198.1. They beat Arkansas. They beat Michigan. They beat Maryland. They will move on to the next round. So, and Arkansas finished second. So they'll advance to Saturday's regional final, where Arkansas and LSU will square off head to head to see whose season continues. Those, the top 2 teams from the regional advance to the national championship semifinal on April 17th. That'll be in Fort Worth, Texas. So we are just shy of a week away, or just over a week away from the legislative session. Gets underway. We're 10 days away. It gets underway on April 14th. And there's a lot of movement going on as far as folks filing bills and whatnot. And a lot of the talk has been that insurance is going to be a main focus, if not the main focus of the session outside from the budget. It's a fiscal session. That's going to be number 1. But is insurance going to be 1A? Well, a lot of that talk was happening before last Saturday's election, where Constitutional Amendment 2 failed miserably. How much of what happened on Saturday was going to cause legislators to redirect their efforts and maybe forget about insurance along the way? We've seen this for at least the last year and a half now, let's just say since Tim Temple was elected. He's doing a great job. Tim Temple, our insurance commissioner, is doing a great job of getting the conversation rolling with everybody, but keeping legislators focused once the session is in, which is why I keep clamoring for a special session on insurance, but keeping them focused while the session is in is another story. I had Commissioner Temple on yesterday, and I asked him, I said, how big of a hit was it to your agenda in the upcoming legislative session? How big of a hit was it that Constitutional Amendment 2 didn't pass on Saturday? Lengthy answer here, but hear him out.
I think it's actually the reverse of that. I think it's helped. I think it has highlighted the fact that we have been taking our eye off the ball every chance we get.
Okay.
And a lot of people, look, I've been watching, I look at a lot of the social media. I talk to a lot of people every day. The town hall meetings, nobody's talking about the failed CAs. And look, we need serious tax reform. I'm looking forward to, the legislature going back and the governor going back and working on it coming forward. We need it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody that I'm talking to in these town halls, they keep saying, what are we doing with insurance?
Yeah.
What are we doing with insurance? I say it all the time. You pay taxes on dollars you make, right? Yes. You pay insurance regardless whether you get that insurance bill before you even make a dollar. You've got to pay it. And that's what people in businesses are focused on.
Mm-hmm.
They want affordable and available insurance. And so I think you're going to see a full-throated approach this session. We've been working for months on a package of bills. We've been engaged with legislators. on this package of bills. And you're going to see once Friday, the deadline to file your bills drops and we know everything that's out there, we're going to be able to, we're going to be talking about a very focused approach to bring about legal reform, auto reform, whatever you want to call it, to Louisiana.
The conversation with Commissioner Temple continued, and it's available on the ManToTalk1073.com, courtesy of the folks at Lake Urgent Care. The conversation continued. We went to property insurance next, and then brought things back around to our car insurance rates, because that seems to be the hard part. Getting across the threshold where we can see a dip in our car insurance rates has been problematic, because there are so many people making so much money in so many different ways off of your back and mine. So I asked Tim Temple about a bill that was popular last session. In fact, it passed one vote shy of being veto proof, like super majority, but it was all about collateral source. Collateral source was, and it's my layperson's understanding of it, is the difference between what you could be billed in the hospital after an accident versus what you actually had to pay. And what was there any variation there? And getting some level of transparency on that front could go a long way to help your car insurance. I asked the commissioner if that one was coming back.
Look, we have changed the terminology on that. Collateral source, I think, is the legal reference to it, and we're now calling it medical transparency.
Okay.
You know, transparency and medical billing.
Yeah.
And look, the opposition, the party of status quo are attacking, say, oh, look, they're just trying to change the name, you know, and they make that like it's a negative. We're actually we want everybody to understand what we're talking about. Medical transparency. And I think most of your listeners know, this is the difference between when you receive medical treatment as a result of an auto accident. It's the difference between what the medical provider bills versus what actually ends up being paid. And we all see those EOBs, those explanation of benefits that we get when we go use our medical insurance. There's that charged amount, and then there's a paid amount.
Yes. There's so much more from that interview I still want to unpack, but we gotta pause real quick because we got news coming your way. Talk 107.3 in the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True, of course, is an organization designed to help create dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. A number of businesses are pledging to match your donations throughout the month. That would be Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries, Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. You can make your donation now at talk1073.com. Why does a winemaker have to worry about tariffs? You're a California, like, seriously, this is a great question here. Are we, you grow your grapes. What are you buying that you have to have something imported here? I mean, what?
That's a good question. I'm going to do some research. Because you're right. If you're growing it right out of California, I'm sure you have everything you need.
Let's be very clear. He didn't say this guy's thinking of getting into the wine business, where, like, whatever, like, you know, giant pots, giant tanks you would need for fermentation. Like, he's currently a winemaker. So I am to assume that he has all the equipment that he needs.
Right.
Right? So outside of that, you need grapes?
Which you're probably growing in your own.
I would hope so.
Yeah. He was out of California, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have,
I don't know of a winemaker who doesn't own their own vineyard. Yeah. Man, I was down at Costco, bought me a shit ton of grapes. Like, that's just, it's not how that works. You need grapes, you need yeast, and you needed like a giant tank. I mean, I'm sure there's other equipment involved to control what air is still in there and what has to be released and whatnot.
I'm going to look further into it, but yeah, a lot of the headlines I'm seeing is Trump's 200% tariffs could devastate the American wine industry. But
why? That's the part I don't.
Oh man, you gotta subscribe to all these. What the crap?
The bottles, the glass for the bottles.
Maybe they're coming from France. I wouldn't see why that wouldn't be domestically. You couldn't get that domestically. Okay, I can see if it's European wine, champagne.
No, American wine.
But American, yeah. That's. I don't get it. I don't understand.
If you own a vineyard in Napa Valley or Oregon,
yeah. What are you even concerned about?
Right.
How are you even affected?
Do I have anything written down for? What do I have? 7:55. What am I missing? What
do you have?
What part of that the whole winemaking equation am I missing here?
Yeah, you're right. The only way it would be affected, I mean, if it's being imported, I don't see why they would interview someone who is having issues when they have their own vineyard, their own tanks, everything they would need to make everything domestic.
Right.
I don't understand. Because the only issue I'm even seeing when researching some of this is all the imports. But you're right. That's not the case. That's not what the guy was talking about.
I ran the interview through the multi-band compressor.
Okay.
So
he came out a little.
And I squeezed it from stereo down to mono. So
it's a little bit.
It's a little bit better, but in fact, come to me before we go to it.
Okay.
I know I still got to tease weather, but
okay.
it's time to get a look at your forecast. For that, we turn to WBRZ meteorologist Emma Kate Cowan. Yeah, I'm Googling who makes wine bottles, and everything I'm finding are like factories in California. Okay, so you can't do it on the same computer, can you? After we're done with Jim Ryan at 7:20, I want to do this story. I want to talk about the tariffs. I feel like we're not giving it enough attention. But what I want from you is to go into that 6:30 newscast and pull that particular part of it. Come to me. 637 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. I do like to, for full disclosure, when we're not going to be live, when we have something that's pre-recorded, I do like to give you the heads up. And it was I guess Monday. I got the chance to talk with Scott Payne. Scott Payne is a former FBI agent, and he infiltrated a bunch of American Nazis. He's got a fantastic story. His book is called Codename Pale Horse. So we're gonna play that back here. So we got a pre-recorded interview here, but I want to let you know we had some trouble with the audio. So Scott sounds great. Me, not so much. Here's Scott Payne.
When I hear the name Hillbilly Donnie Brasco, you know I'm booking the interview. Forget about it. Scott Payne is with us, a retired FBI agent, now the author of Codename Pale Horse, How I Went Undercover to Expose America's Nazis. Scott, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, sir.
Glad to have you on here. Glad to be talking about this because, I mean, you're on here in Baton Rouge right now. We're, deep south. A lot of what you've been working on has been throughout, not just the Gulf Coast, but throughout the South itself. Tell me a little bit about what you discovered along the way.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I've been blessed in my law enforcement career to work all kinds of stuff. Generally, I was a criminal enterprise investigator, which could be gangs, transnational organized crime, violent crime, stuff like that. But undercover, I've been blessed to do all kinds of different groups, whether it be, and this is based on my skill set. I mean, if you see me and you get to know me, they're not calling me to do an undercover in Wall Street. I'm not getting. I would joke with them and say, "Why don't you let me do one of those?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." My skill set, some may say it's unfortunate. I learned to just appreciate it and love it. It puts me in the backwoods. It puts me in 1%er biker gangs. It puts me in public corruption cases in the South. And then when the threat started growing in the white supremacy and white nationalism arena, it led me into that.
I'm curious about the mindset within, Scott, if we could take it in this direction, because I mean, as deep undercover as you were, is to get that firsthand knowledge and understanding of who that was that you were investigating, who that was you were undercover, working to bust here. What's the mindset behind the current American Nazi? Because a lot of these folks, their grandfathers fought actual Nazis.
That's a good question. The current, well, the one I talk about in the book is the accelerationist view. I mean, I do cover the Klan and Christian identity, belief system, and stuff like that. But your neo-Nazis today, there are different ones. You might have a neo-Nazi group that believes Christian identity, where they take the Bible and the story of the Garden of Eden and they twist it, like really twist it to match their ideology. But then the main threat that I was talking about in the book, as far as the white supremacy side goes, are considered to be accelerationist. And they're not standing on the corner waving a picket sign and screaming racial slurs. They don't believe that does anything good and it makes them a target. They're looking at being kind of sneaky, secretive, going out and training. And then if you have that belief system of accelerationism, it's this. You don't believe that there's a political solution that can save the white race. You believe that society is either going to collapse on its own or from man-made events, and you want it to speed up. So they try to think about, what if somebody does a power grid over here, poisons a water system here, derails a train, anything to create chaos to set off that what they referred to, at least the group I was in, referred to it as the Boogaloo, which would be D-Day, the start of the racial war.
How widespread is this? I mean, this is something that we hear headlines from time to time, but how widespread are these beliefs? How real is this as a possible threat to America?
I can ebb and flow on it because I've seen the articles that say there's millions of white supremacists and Nazis are going to be on your doorstep tomorrow. I'm not buying that. But the thing that my experience and the groups I was working with at the FBI and what we were trying to thwart is like, what are those one-offs? I mean, how do you know which one of these 50 to 100 in this group are actually going to be the next Christchurch shooter or the Tree of Life shooter or the Charleston Black Church shooter? And that's the thing, because in America, we've got a First Amendment protection for freedom of speech. You can go out here and yell all kinds of nasty stuff. You can even burn the American flag. I mean, I would say, can you imagine? I tell them, why don't you go to China? You go out in the middle of the street and say death to China and burn a China flag. Let me know how that goes for you. but we got the protection here. So we have to stay vigilant. We have to keep watching, and thwarting what we can. So I'm not going to say there's millions, but are there thousands? Sure. And this is worldwide because you're doing it in a chat group. You're doing it in an encrypted app. Even in the base, the group I was in, that I talk about a lot in the book, that we had people from South Africa, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, because it's all online.
We're talking with Scott Payne. He's the author of Codename Pale Horse: How I Went Undercover to Expose America's Nazis. Scott, if I could get the abbreviated story, but tell me about Halloween night 2019.
Sure. I had been in the group for a while. It was a hate camp at the cell I was a part of, CELL. I've got a country accent, I know. So the cell that I was a part of was based out of North Georgia, but there were cells again all over the world, and probably like 13, I think, came in from all over the United States to participate in essentially what's a hate camp, and we would train on guns and whatnot. But Halloween night 2019, a lot of the members, I'd say the majority, if not all, in the base that I met and talked to claimed to be pagans with a pagan belief. But just like Christian identity twists the Bible story, they're twisting paganism to meet their ideology. So we were going to be having a blot that night, which was the ceremony. But what happened is several of the guys in the group went to a property in the area and stole a ram, and we ended up going down to the ritual area. And that night they sacrificed the ram. I mean, I was in it. I was a part of it. Sacrificed at a pagan ritual to signify the start of the wild hunt, but not like the Norse mythology wild hunt. It was to signify that we were going to be starting the cleansing of non-fascist people and non-white people. And the goat was sacrificed poorly. The first attempt to sacrifice it did not work. Ended up shooting it in the head, and then they commenced to slice them. Well, they eventually cut the head completely off, but took the blood from the goat, filled it up in a cup, and as part of the ritual, everybody drank the blood of the goat, including me.
Can you ever shake that? I mean, does that it obviously stays with you? Is there getting over that?
I'm not sure. it was not a great moment. It sucked.
But you got no choice.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can always walk away, but I'm sitting there as a senior, experienced person at that point, and I'm going, well, I mean, it's not illegal. I mean, yes, they did steal an animal, and maybe we can get them for some kind of animal cruelty, but that's not a federal case. And there's a lot more going on here. We had a member of the base that had absconded illegally into the United States from Canada. We had him located. We're uncovering all these plots, and we need to get a little bit. We need to find out if it's what they're planning to do. So yeah, I went down there and participated and drank the blood, and then we carried the head of the ram around for the next 4 days training. So getting over it, you just got to be able to rationalize it in your mind. Sometimes it floats up, but I'm pretty okay with it in my mind, because not only did we thwart a bunch of murder plots, they also got charged with animal cruelty. So
the book covers that and so much more. I mean, interaction with neo-Nazis, interaction with the Ku Klux Klan, and a whole lot more. What's next for you?
I'm on the book launch right now. Maybe somebody options it. Maybe there's a TV series, maybe there's movies or whatever. I have already been on some movie sets as an armorer and doing cameos, but I also still instruct. I'm a speaker and a teacher. I was like 2 weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, I was in Florida speaking at a narcotic and gang conference. But I'm also an active shooter instructor through Alert, which is the national standard for training law enforcement on active shooter response. So I'm just going to go out here and do the book, try to spread knowledge, keep connecting with people, keep learning.
He is Scott Payne. The book is called Codename Pale Horse, How I Went Undercover to Expose America's Nazis. Man, if you're ever in Baton Rouge, give us a holler. We'd love to get you back in studio at some point along the way. In the meanwhile, thank you so much for the work you've done.
Absolutely, and thank you. It was an honor.
Can you imagine?
Right.
I mean, not.
I can't, like.
Yeah, I have trouble processing the whole thing.
And this is secondhand information, right?
Right.
Imagine being in that moment, surrounded by these guys. What do you do?
I don't know.
Right? Like you can't.
I don't.
You're right. You can't.
So my first image. You remember the movie Bad Boys 2?
Yeah.
When they're in the swamp with the Klan, and then Martin Lawrence's line. But like that's the scenario, though, right? You're not like. This isn't like you're in a downtown building and you can walk out and you've got the safety of like numbers around you. You're in the mountains.
Yeah, you're in the mountains. Oof. Yeah, man, that is. Fascinating story. And I wonder, like, beings that is he retired? Was that ever mentioned? I don't know.
From undercover work, yes.
From okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, I mean, once
it's
you
in the
reveal
book.
your face.
Yeah. He can't move around like this anymore.
Gosh. Do we have a name for who's going to be coming on for Lake?
Yeah, Dennis Taylor, VP of Occupational Health.
Okay.
And I've been reminded to stay on the script this week, which I'm gonna talk to them about.
Okay.
I don't. It does nobody any good if people tune out on the segment because it sounds like a fucking infomercial.
Studio. Doing well, sir. How about yourself? Good. Yeah, we're looking to have you on here in about another minute or two. All right. Thank you, sir.
.651 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk hurricane season with Jim Ryan from ABC News. We're going to talk DOTD. Rodney Mallet's going to stop by as well. They got a lot going on, y'all. A lot going on to talk about. Not the least of which is this weekend we will see the opening of the westbound College Drive exit. One of the steps along the way with the College Drive flyover. Right now, though, we welcome back the folks from Lake Urgent Care. Love this partnership. Love having these conversations every week. This week, Dennis Taylor, VP of Occupational Health, is our guest. Dennis, how are you this morning?
Good morning, Brian. How you doing?
I'm very well. Occupational health. Let's talk about it. Let's start with what is occupational health and why it's important for businesses.
Well, I like to refer to it as employer health. We're in the urgent care occupational health space. That's our business, and it's very similar to urgent care, but it's for the employers. We want to make sure to keep these employees safe, healthy, and able to do their jobs. When they stay safe and healthy, businesses see fewer call outs, so fewer folks calling out, for absentee, and better productivity. And then overall, lowering the overall healthcare costs, which I'm sure we'll talk about moving forward.
Yeah, we should get to all of it. I'm sure. I want to start off with the instances where an employee might be injured. Like, let's say I'm an employer. I have an injured employee. Why am I going urgent care instead of the ER?
Well, and that's a common mistake. Let's be honest here. A lot of folks, it's a default. I know myself growing up and doing a lot of summer jobs and things like that. The automatic default is to go to the emergency room for anything and everything. Well, the convenience that we bring and the difference that we bring, and the biggest thing that we offer is a cost savings. An average visit to the ER for an injured worker is going to be around $2,500, where an average visit for us on a work comp injury, for us to treat the same injury, same acuity, is going to be about $150 to $200. So obviously it's a big impact financially for the businesses. Second, most of our centers, are going to have a 90% less wait time. So big thing again, lost time, folks sitting in an emergency room for X amount of hours versus coming to our facility are going to be treated within 30 minutes or less. So again, not only is there cost savings on when they arrive at the facility and when they leave and they have to, remit payment, but also there's a cost savings on the back end with the employee not missing work. So you're not paying someone to sit in the emergency room, in the waiting room. So, communication is also probably another big thing I'd like to talk about. Most of the time, again, emergency rooms are for car wrecks and heart attacks and a lot of trauma type stuff.
Right.
So the communication there is going to, these docs are in and out and trying to take care of people and possibly save lives potentially. And for us, we're able to communicate with that employer directly. It's a lot less busy in our facility, and we're able to give, most importantly, back to work instructions, which helps these folks rehabilitate and get these individuals back to work. So the communication is key.
We're talking with Dennis Taylor, the VP of Occupational Health over at Lake Urgent Care. And injuries are one thing, but when it comes to occupational health, I don't want to pigeonhole y'all. What kind of occupational health services does Lake Urgent Care provide?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. Not only we just talked about work injury treatment, so that would be workers' comp.
Mm-hmm.
We also offer other services such as physical exams, and the two big ones are a DOT, Department of Transportation. So most drivers have to have this annually to continue to drive a vehicle on the Louisiana roads, and then non-DOT, which is a basic physical, and then return to work, fit for duty, customizable physicals such as hazardous waste. We can get pretty extensive depending on the employer's needs, and then substance testing, which is drug, alcohol, and beyond. And then we also offer immunization programs. A lot of folks have people going overseas for work. There's a lot of companies here in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas that have a lot of work internationally. We're able to provide those vaccinations for them, and as well as simple lab testing such as TB testing.
Let's talk about the benefits from the employers, and what are the benefits of partnering with Lake Urgent Care for employee health?
First of all, it's convenient,
yeah.
and there's a lot of folks that do what we do. There's a lot of medical facilities in and around Baton Rouge, but our differentiator is locations and extended hours and walk-in availability. No appointment needed. You can get in pretty fast in our facilities, hassle-free, very easy. Money, we talked about cost savings.
Yep.
There's a huge benefit there. Staying compliant. Our folks are all educated, certified. We follow OSHA standards, DOT, any other regulatory and compliance work-related programs. Our folks are very adhered to those standards and are very trained to operate accordingly. And then lastly, we can tailor to each business, and that's important because we're not just a blanket. We just don't, one stop fits all. That's not how we operate. We really want to have our folks in tune with each individual employer, and it's kind of like a menu. We want to create something that's going to work for them.
Last one before I get you out of here, and I greatly appreciate your time this morning. With Dennis Taylor, VP of Occupational Health over at Lake Urgent Care. How can businesses get started with Lake Urgent Care's occupational health services?
Ideally, you can go to our website, which is www.lakeurgentcare.com. You can also check us out on Facebook or Instagram. But a unique thing too is we have business development team, and typically if you go through that channel through the website and or one of the social media platforms, one of our business development reps will get in contact with you. And again, we talked about the customizing piece. They'll take it from there. It's a lot of one-on-one, a lot of communication. We make it very personal because we realize how important this is for employers and their employees. So having that individual there to help guide you, it's a very simple process to get set up with us. No contracts, nothing like that. So having that individual help navigate those waters is a big plus for a lot of employers.
Dennis Taylor, VP of Occupational Health over at Lake Urgent Care. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We got ABC News coming up in just a quick second. Then we'll check traffic. We'll check weather. We'll get hour number 2 rolling in a little bit. Hey, Talk 107.3 welcomes comedian Rob Schneider to the Raising Cane's River Center Friday, May 16th for his You Can Do It tour. Register at talk1073.com and listen to this show for your chance to win tickets to the show. Plus, when you sign up to win online, when you sign up to win online, make sure you subscribe to our Talk 107.3 Baton Rouge YouTube channel for an extra entry. Hour 2's next. Do you want the notes on that? Okay. All right. Grab the now that you finally have a chance, grab the thing out of Sterlitz from the wine story. There it is again. Right? Moops! It said moops! See, he went Seinfeld. I would have said that's where Nicolas Cage was going to be looking for the treasure map on the back of the Declaration of Independence. Oh, you get whiskey bottles here too. Oh, here we go. This one's foreign. Okay. Yep. This one, Shanghai, China. Who's buying their bottles from China? All right. But that's not even the cheapest one. All right. So if I want to buy this, it costs what? No, I want hundreds. This is totally gonna mess up my search history, isn't it? Like I could just expect emails about like fermentation. Yeah. Looks like you're starting a winery. I'm really not. Okay, hang on. It's 30 cents per bottle cheaper. That's where we're at right now. Oh, shoot. I don't.
Cheaper if you got it from China?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. You got to buy a lot of them, though. $7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. Getting you ready for a busy second hour. Full disclosure. Oh, by the way, we're starting off the second hour at 78 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Full disclosure. ABC News has got me down a rabbit hole this morning. And I don't know that I'm going to be able to dig myself back out of it. We're going to talk with Jim Ryan from ABC News about hurricane season in our next segment. That's not the rabbit hole I'm down, though. You've been hearing the story. We heard it at the bottom of the hour last hour, and then heard it again in news that ran just a minute ago. We're talking tariffs and the effects on certain industries. We'll dive into that in our next segment after we're done with Jim Ryan. Also this hour, DOTD Rodney Mallet's going to join us. College Drive exit is off of 10 westbound opening up in full on Sunday. Should make your commute a lot easier. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about the Mississippi River Bridge. We got to talk about what's going on I-12 eastbound at night. We'll cover all of that with Rodney Mallet at 7:35. Right now, though, top stories and trending. Let's get it.
Number 5.
Starts us off in Prairieville as we are still looking at delays on I-10 eastbound out by Prairieville. This is due to an overnight accident involving an 18-wheeler and another vehicle. Both vehicles caught fire after colliding head on. Now, information on the two drivers is not immediately clear. We don't know status of injuries or anything like that. We do know that the St. George Fire Department and the Prairieville Fire Department responded to the call. And like I said, it happened about 1:30 in the morning. Eastbound was closed for several hours. It did reopen about 35 minutes ago. But your delays are kind of ridiculous. The only good news there is that most people are headed westbound in the morning, not eastbound. But this was 10 eastbound out by Prairieville.
Number 4.
Starting Sunday, like I was teasing a minute ago, drivers will see a new 4-lane configuration at the end of the westbound College Drive exit ramp at the traffic signal. 2 lanes are going to take you south on College Drive. 1 lane will go north, and then the lane to the right will put you directly on Corporate Boulevard. We'll talk about this and a few other topics with Rodney Mallet coming up at 7:35.
Number 3.
Heading over to Livingston Parish, deputies responded to the body of a male being found on Lilac Street in Denham Springs Thursday night. Officials said investigations ongoing to determine if foul play was suspected. We have no other information about this at the time. Just a dead body was found.
Number 2.
2 people were killed in a plane crash in Lafourche Parish. Bodies were recovered Thursday night, according to WWL in New Orleans. The crash happened around 8:30 p.m. Wednesday. Wreckage was found in a marshy area near Raceland. The 2 victims were identified by officials as Lyle Panapento and Lauren Menkemeller. The WWL added the only one wing of the plane was visible above the water in the marshy area. Officials said the plane was en route to Houma from Belle Chase.
Number 1.
The trial of a man accused of sexually abusing 3 of his foster children began Thursday morning. 54-year-old Michael Haddon's been sitting in jail for nearly 3 years awaiting this trial. Haddon's facing several charges, including sexual battery, molestation of a juvenile, and aggravated crimes against nature. Hey, John.
Hey.
You're from down the bayou.
Yeah.
Before we get to what's trending, if you're flying from Belle Chase to Houma,
right? That's an odd route, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
It
I'm
is.
not wrong on this one.
When I read it yesterday, and I thought the same thing. I was like, that's kind of strange. I mean,
It's not off by a whole lot.
No, but
it's almost as if they'd be flying and then take like almost a due south turn.
Right.
You'd fly from Belle Chase to Houma is basically east to southwest, right?
Right.
Belle Chase to Raceland is basically east to west. I don't know. It is.
It should raise a red flag of just that's kind of
it's off by enough.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
All right.
In other news, the Dow Jones fell 4% yesterday, and the S&P 500 had its worst day in 5 years as the markets responded to Donald Trump's tariffs. Which
we're gonna see more of it today.
Oh,
Don't you worry. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. I'm still of the belief that a lot of it will get better, because down markets equal opportunity. We were joking in the last hour about how scared money don't pay, and right now we're seeing nothing but scared money. Well, it's not all gonna be scared money. It's good. Next week you're going to see those who want to pick, choose, shop around. The money will land in different places, but Byron was saying over on the Facebook chat, he uses times like this to buy stocks individually. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's where the recorrection is going to happen.
Absolutely. Find the silver lining in it.
Yep.
In other news, former LSU quarterback TJ Finley was arrested Wednesday by Tulane police and was booked into the Orleans Parish Jail for 1 count of theft over $25,000.
So he allegedly bought a stolen car?
Yeah.
He didn't steal the car.
No.
He bought the car that was stolen. Is that how
that's how it was presented? They're saying he was defrauded by those who sold him the truck. So I mean right. I mean, what can you do, man?
If you're TJ Finley,
right?
Well, you're suspended from the team.
Absolutely,
right. But that's kind of the least of your worries at this point.
Yes. Hopefully it's not true that it's stolen. You know, hopefully he comes out.
So if you're TJ Finley, I mean, you're going to go play for Tulane, right?
Yeah.
This is after you started your career at LSU. After you graduated Ponchatoula High, you came to LSU. You went from LSU to Auburn to Texas State to Western Kentucky to hopefully Tulane for him once all this gets cleared up. But man, I could, that's can there be a limit on the transfer portal? That's as many universities as years in university.
Yeah. Man. Yeah.
Journeyman TJ Finley.
Yeah, I hope he comes out the other side of this.
Same. You don't want to see anything bad, especially for something that's so there's so much left to question here.
Absolutely.
No.
Hey, some good news here. Tomorrow is Dale Brown Day in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, it is. And shout out to Mayor President Sid Edwards for calling the press conference yesterday to declare April 5th Dale Brown Recognition Day. Yeah. I asked along the way, why April 5th? And the answer I got back was so much simpler than anything I was thinking of.
Okay.
Dale Brown went to the Final Four twice. Tomorrow's the Final Four. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense on this end. 81, 86. I mean, 13 straight tournament seasons. I don't know about you, but I had the purple and gold net on my basketball goal in the backyard. I don't know about you, but I was in the Superdome the day that LSU took on Georgetown. Ricky Blanton was a beast that day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I came to LSU in large part due to Dale Brown. I'm a child of the 80s, and if you grew up in the 80s in Louisiana, LSU basketball was every bit what LSU football was. I don't know about here in Baton Rouge. I know throughout the state. I grew up in a basketball family. My old man played ball in college league. I grew up in a basketball family, basketball household.
Yeah.
And the influence of Dale Brown was prevalent.
So
very, very much
see
so.
him getting his flowers, getting that recognition.
So he can't get enough.
Absolutely.
He cannot get enough.
Stuff.
By the way, this has nothing to do with anything, and I hesitate to even bring it up.
Uh-oh.
But you know how we all a lot of us miss Will Wade for kind of thumbing his nose at the NCAA?
Okay, yeah.
Let's never, ever forget that it was Dale Brown that called the NCAA a bunch of Gestapo bastards. Guy's my hero. Always will be. 714, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We are due up for a quick break. Before we take that break, though, got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. Only problem with Fridays in Lent is I can't hit up the hot wing bar. The good news is they put popcorn shrimp out there instead. Not instead, alongside. Let me be very, very clear about that. The Mathern's on Nicholson Drive in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, directly across the street from Tiger Stadium. If you were observing Lent and abstaining from meat during Lent, they got you covered there. Of course, they've got the fantastic salad bar. And of course, if you go up to the counter, if you're just buying a plate lunch, you got fish, you got catfish, you got baked fish. They got you covered there. But if you're like me and you love that hot wing bar, and I love that hot wing bar, they get the popcorn shrimp, tater tots. You're good to go. You're all set. Got to remind you, if you live out in the Kenilworth area, Highland and Kenilworth, Mathern's is back, y'all. Originally Kenilworth Supermarket, they have returned home. The family you love, the prices you miss are back on Highland, just west of Kenilworth. And don't forget, there's still the downtown location as well. It's Mathern's. All right, do you have the clip? Okay. .717, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Rodney Mallet from DOTD, slated to join us in our next segment. We're going to get to ABC News' Jim Ryan here in just a little bit. I do need a moment to tell you about the folks over at Vex European, VEX. That's V as in Vinny. VexEuropean.com is the website. If you own a European vehicle, it would behoove you to at least give a look at VexEuropean.com. Hit the little vehicles tab, hit the little drop down menu there, see if your make is on there. If it is, go hit up the specials tab, see if you can't save $100 on your first visit, and then hit that little appointment button and make your appointment at Vex European. I don't care if you're talking about an oil change or major engine repair or anything in between. Vex European's got you covered, and they're going to pair you with a master level technician for your vehicle. If you have a Mercedes, you're getting help with a Mercedes tech. BMW, same thing. Land Rover, Jaguar. They know the exotics over there as well. So if you happen to be the only person in Baton Rouge with a Ferrari, there can't be too many, right? They've got you covered. It starts, though, at vexeuropean.com. All right. We are still a couple months away from the beginning of hurricane season, but we are to the point now where we're starting to see the forecasts come in, and it's looking like it will be active, to say the least. Joining us now is ABC News correspondent Jim Ryan. Jim, welcome back. How are you, man?
Hey, Brian. How are you doing?
I am very well. Yeah, go ahead.
The expectation this year, it's a little surprising that the nation's foremost experts on hurricanes live and work in Colorado, but they do. They're out there in landlocked Colorado, and they're the ones who have come up with this prediction for the 2025 hurricane season, Brian. They're looking at 17 named storms, 9 of which will become hurricanes, 4 of which will become major hurricanes. Those are the ones with winds above 111 miles per hour, the top sustained winds. They make up only about a quarter of the storms, but they do 80% of the damage. So that major hurricane category is really the one to watch for, Brian.
So the major hurricane, yes, absolutely. And like we're here in Baton Rouge, so we had Ida recently. Of course, down the road in New Orleans was Katrina 20 years ago. Jim, we run into the problem of when we hear about active hurricane seasons every year that goes by that we don't get directly hit by one is another year that we tend to get a little more lax. We get a little less vigilant. And I'm worried because like last year we were all right. Of the hurricanes that came through last year, or of the hurricanes that were created last year, a lot of them just stayed out in the Atlantic. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that came up the Gulf directly at us. It was the earliest
for a Gulf storm. Beryl is the one that came into the South Texas coast, but it was born in the Gulf. We had a very active Gulf season, which obviously is really bad news for Louisiana. The expectation this year from the hurricane forecasters is that the state will have a 74% storm chance. That is a 74% chance of a tropical storm, and a 46% chance of a hurricane this year. So yeah, there is that possibility for Louisiana. Yes, specifically for Louisiana.
Okay. See, normally when the forecast comes out, they're able to predict the number of storms and the number of major storms.
Yeah.
The pinpointing location or predicting location is new.
It is. It's really getting very specific and very precise. But you're right. So let's say that we have no hurricanes this year or one tropical storm. I think you're right. Next year, people will say, well, this really doesn't mean much. We're not going to bother getting ready. But the science gets better every year. So these folks at the National Hurricane Prediction Center are looking at things like upper level atmosphere. They're looking at water temperature. And really the temperature is what has a lot to do with this. We're in an El Nino situation where the Pacific water is fairly cool, but the Atlantic side is relatively warm. And it's that warm water, of course, that creates the jet fuel that powers these storms that come in from the Gulf or from the Atlantic side, Brian.
Is the National are they putting out Dr. Klotz? I assume it's coming from Dr. Klotzbach.
Correct.
Okay. Who studied directly under Dr. Gray, and he was the one that got this ball. You talk about how it's strange that the foremost experts on hurricanes would come from Colorado, and Dr. Gray not only did all of his work at Colorado State, but he's from Detroit, Michigan. Like, why was this the guy? What made Dr. Gray the guy? He comes from Detroit and then moves to Colorado. Anyway.
In a way, it kind of makes sense. I mean, they're safe as far inland as they are. Yeah, we've had inland storms, but they're safe from hurricanes. I mean, you look at the tornado specialist. The tornado center is at the University of Oklahoma in Norman, and it gets hit by tornadoes all the time.
Right.
So maybe they've got a better idea by being far, far from the threat of hurricanes.
We're talking with Jim Ryan for just another minute or two. I wanted to ask about the origin of the hurricane coming from the Gulf. That's been a recent trend that we're seeing where they'll pop up in the Caribbean and make their way north, like just on a beeline towards us and get here quickly. Shorter turnaround time has been a thing lately. Is that trend expected to continue?
Yeah, and we've seen that, and they look very carefully at that. The accumulated cyclone energy is what we see. The storm last year, Beryl, it began off the coast of Africa, made its way all the way across the Atlantic, through the Caribbean, into the Gulf of Mexico, and then came ashore in Texas. I mean, that's a lot of this ACE, the accumulated cyclone energy. And so, yeah, they're looking at that factor as well as the lifespan of these storms. And some, you're right, have very short lifespans, especially those in the Gulf of Mexico. They don't have a lot of space to grow, but we have seen them grow anyway, and either come up the coast of Florida or come crashing into Alabama, Mississippi, or Louisiana.
Or just hug that coast from Mexico, then up past Texas and whatnot. It's just, we're seeing it come at us from different directions now. It's not the traditional, like Bear, like you said, it's not that traditional form off the coast of Africa and plot its way across the Atlantic. It's a different ball game now.
It is, and these storms have changed in their characteristics. The Helene, which came up the Gulf on the Gulf side of Florida and went straight north and essentially up to the Carolinas. This day, they're just now reopening this major thoroughfare that runs through Asheville, North Carolina, because it was damaged so heavily by Helene 6 months ago, and that far inland. And that was not an Atlantic storm coming in through eastern North Carolina. It came up the Gulf from the south into North Carolina. I mean, these storms have a lot of potential with them, a lot of power. And so just because somebody lives far inland doesn't mean that they can't be affected by these hurricanes.
Last one before we get you out of here, and I always appreciate your time. We're talking with Jim Ryan, ABC News correspondent, about the upcoming predictions for the upcoming hurricane season. Jim, has there been any further talk that you've heard about extending or changing the definition of hurricane season? I mean, it's traditionally June 1 to November 30, but with the changes we've seen in water temperature and the changes we've seen with winter storms and whatnot, has there been any further talk about maybe adjusting when the actual season is?
Not really, and you're right. It's a moving target. It's a fairly loose guideline. It's not necessarily a firm set thing, because you can get hurricanes, as early as April and as late as November sometimes. But I think what they may have to change in the future is the average. So we're looking this year at an above average storm season with 17 named storms. But that's kind of rising. So they may have to change the definition of what's average, because every year, if you have a higher average than or a higher number, then the average is going to have to come up somewhat. So I think that may be the definition that changes in the future.
Oh, look, you can give me on a soapbox all day long about why what's considered average needs to come up, because the number of storms that form in the Atlantic and dissipate in the Atlantic, the fish storms as they call them, as technology gets better, we find more of them. So your average is naturally going to rise, and then you can factor in everything else that goes into the equation to create more storms as well. In the meanwhile, he's Jim Ryan from ABC News. We always appreciate the time, sir.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Absolutely. The number of, think about it. Before you had the radar technology that we have now, before every square inch of the globe was covered, how many storms do you think were in the Atlantic that formed, rained itself out, and dissipated, and never hit anything but the Atlantic? And we're none the wiser, because they were never going to be a problem for us. Those storms now are completely accounted for. So greatly appreciate Jim's time. Oh, you know what we didn't get to was the fact that what is going to be the first named storm to hit the Gulf of America. This will be the first hurricane season where we don't have a Gulf of Mexico. We have a Gulf of America. Jim's a serious reporter. I don't need to hit him with that foolishness. All right, we've got Rodney Mallet coming up on our next segment from DOTD. Before we get there, though, it's another national story I wanted to touch on, and that is talking about tariffs and what the effects of tariffs are and will be. John, you get the audio here from ABC News?
Got it.
Okay, so in our bottom of the hour news last hour, there was a story about making wine, and then the top of the hour news, there was a story about making wine. Play that back for me if you could.
Projections on Wall Street are cloudy at best after President Trump implemented sweeping tariffs across the world on nearly all imports. One of those imports, wine. And Jared Sears, a San Francisco wine shop operator, says
It's the American importer that pays the tariff, and that is an additional cost that either has to be eaten or passed on to the consumers.
And China has now announced retaliatory tariffs of 34% on all U.S. goods en route to Florida.
All right, well, China's not getting in the wine game, though. Okay, so importing wine is going to be... So he wasn't a winemaker, he was a wine shop owner. That's what we got. That's what we came around to there. Okay. This, to me, feels pretty cut and dry. Like, is this an opportunity for American winemakers? A huge opportunity for American winemakers. When we first heard the story, it was like, what do you have to import to make wine? But he's talking about, like, actually bringing in Champagne or Bordeaux, or, like, he's talking about bringing in foreign wines. And that's where the news decided this is our number one priority. Tariffs are implemented, and this is what foreign wine coming in. Price is going to go up. Okay, but what about all the things that, like, we need on a day-to-day basis? And don't tell me you need foreign wine on a day-to-day basis. I get it. It's wine 30. I understand. I'm not completely, but there's plenty that's made in Napa Valley. There's plenty that's made in Oregon. Hell, they got wineries right here in Louisiana. I think by telling this particular end of the story, they're also pulling back the curtain on the part of the story that says there's room for Americans to make up ground here.
Exactly.
You can't tell me that if you are in Napa Valley, this doesn't look like good news, because now your wine is going to be in serious demand. Now, granted, you can't, have champagne because it's got to come from that particular region of France, but doesn't that make you all the bougier if your cost of champagne goes up a little bit? But I think in choosing that particular store, because this wine is something we can get right here. But what about the areas where we import things that we don't have access to regularly here? I think that's where the conversation is going to head next. Right now, our conversation is headed right back to ABC News. Okay, that made so much more sense once it was a wine shop owner.
Yeah.
Because when it was a wine maker.
Yeah. It is that it moves so.
So all that research I did on the price of bottles was just stupid. That was just useless.
No, but it's true, right? That's what we're supposed to do. So if tariffs are raised there, then yeah, we look within and not within,
yes,
right? So yeah. But isn't that the point of this anyway?
Right. Yeah.
Studio. Hey, good morning, sir. How you doing? Yeah, no, I can hear you great. Okay. Yeah, not a problem. If we had to, could you just to check? I can hear you now, but just to double check, would you be able to put the phone in your ear? Okay, but yeah, that's not a problem at all. If we have any issues, we'll let you know. But yeah, so far, I mean, I can hear you. I can hear you clearly. Let's see. From here, yeah, it'll be about really in about 5. Yeah, I could. That's not a problem. Okay, yeah. You want to call back in about 3 or 4 minutes? All right, appreciate it, sir. Thank you. All right, bye. Rodney Mallet seems like a cool guy.
Yes.
Oh, a caller called about FEMA. We're talking about
can't get it to stay up.
When you were talking with Jim Ryan,
yeah,
and he said, "Do you know FEMA is based out of Montana, where they don't have to worry about any coastal flooding?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that." Right, but I guess But I was like, okay. So that's just what he was calling about.
All right. Oh, I need to forward you a video that I asked Taylor to email me, and he texted it instead. Nope. Yeah. Just to have it on the big screen back here. No audio, because I'm pretty sure he curses in it. Well, Moon really doesn't like going in the right direction, does he? All right, time to get a look at your forecast, as we do have rain and cold weather as well. Here comes Emma Kate Cowan. All right. Trey from the chamber wants me to ask him about the I-10 widening project as well. I'm going to put that last on the list. Let me see. Timeline. Timing. 737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right, we got a lot to cover on the roads this morning. It's a busy weekend as far as the College Drive flyover project is concerned. Joining us now to talk about that and a stack of other topics as well, Rodney Mallet from DOTD. Rodney, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning. How are things?
Things are well. This looks like great news for this weekend and moving forward. Tell me all about what it's going to look like on 10 westbound when you get off at College.
All right. Well, this is actually at the College Drive exit. So it will be on College Drive. It's not the flyover that's going to be complete. I think there's some misconceptions about that. But yeah, exactly. I think you know the score.
It's tied into the same project, though, basically, because it's the back end of it.
You're exactly right. And I think you know we're talking about. There's a lot of people who are confused by the announcement because they think that the College Drive flyover is going to be complete. Incorrect. What's happening is where College Drive and I-10 exit actually meet by corporate, that exit is going to be, that interchange is going to be in its final configuration where you have a continuous lane coming off of I-10 West that will take you straight to corporate, so you don't have the backup at the light. If you want to go right, if you want to go north towards Webb Park, there's a lane for that, and to go left onto College Drive as well. So that will help the flow at that exit. You know, we have seen in the past traffic back up to the interstate, and we anticipate that once everybody gets used to this configuration, that the traffic will flow much better at the actual interchange. And that's going to be crucial when in a month or so, the I-10 actual exit, the dedicated exit lane is complete, because traffic is going to be continuously flowing towards that College Drive interchange.
So what we're looking at here, and we're still working on, I say we meaning y'all, but y'all are still working on, if you're on 12 westbound before you get to 10, where you get off for College Drive, as it stands right now, remains the same, but that's what's going to change a month from now.
Exactly. And as you drive through there, I know you take Florida, but if for some reason you get on the interstate, you can see where they have taken out the old I-12, and they're going to be planting trees. We work very closely with Baton Rouge Green on those type of projects, and where they are constructing the actual dedicated exit lane. So you can see all of that being built as we speak. So, and they're getting a lot closer. And the little switch that we've made has already helped traffic a little bit. I mean, you can see it in the mornings anecdotally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so when it's actually complete and you have just a dedicated exit lane, I think it's really going to help the peak hour traffic headed west.
Yeah, because when you're on 12 westbound, and I don't take 12, I don't take the interstate on my way into work, Rodney, because between you and me, it's like, it's 4:30 in the morning, and the only thing on the interstate at the time is a bunch of 18-wheelers that are just barreling their way through. And I mean, you know what? I'll just be by myself on Florida Boulevard and not have to be like this little bitty, miniature little tiny car amongst all the 18-wheelers up there. So, but I'm on there during the daytime a good bit. And when you make that pivot towards when 12 westbound, as it's coming towards the 10-12 merge, when you kind of weave your way around to get to the other side like that, you can clearly see where it's going to be and why, or why and how it's going to work for all of us.
Yep, I think you're exactly right. We've had very little negative feedback from this project, and a lot of the reason is because the impacts to the traveling public have been minimal. All the lane closures that we've had and interstate closures have been at night. And I think most people can see that this is going to be very beneficial once it's completed. And hopefully it's going to be completed real soon, depending on this weather.
Well, yeah, that's inevitable for the springtime in Louisiana, to be sure. We're talking with Rodney Mallet from DOTD. All right, College Drive exit will be this weekend. We got a stack of other topics to cover here. Rodney, I had a listener actually send me a video of their drive home on I-12 eastbound. They live out in Livingston Parish. What's going on 12 East at night?
They are doing some full depth and partial depth patching. So it's much more expensive than just the pothole patching. And if we don't take care of it, we get more calls about potholes than anything. And that's basically because of when you have, sub-freezing temperatures and a foot of snow in Louisiana, it tends to lead to some more pothole forming than normal. And so, to get a hold of that, there's some spots on I-12 and I-10 that we are patching at night. So, it's not just pothole, it's more long-term patching. And we're doing the eastbound right now on I-12. And shortly after, we're going to do the westbound. And we do these projects at night because it would be just crazy. The traffic would be nuts if we did that during the daytime. So we try to find a good time where we can do it and minimize the impacts on the traffic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, you're seeing the video over my left shoulder right here of it's as they do it, it's 2 lanes that are closed down, is what we're looking at in the video, but that leaves 1 lane open. And what Rodney's explaining to us is based off of the time that they get it done, that's it, you're not causing major delays as a result of that. We're talking with Rodney.
You know what? When we do these construction projects,
Mhm.
you know, somebody's going to be impacted. Somebody is going to be inconvenienced, and we know that, and know that it's a pain. But at the same time, just like Nicholson, you remember you and I talked about Nicholson a lot, and then we had several people call about the Nicholson project as we were moving forward.
Oh yeah,
because there were changes in that project, you know, and people were inconvenienced, and you know, we were trying to beat that LSU home game deadline, but once it was complete, everybody loves it. The drive is nice, the drainage is better, you know. So there are some hard times, but it gets better.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, the point here though, is if you're not doing it at night, you're doing it in the day, and nobody wants that because I mean, that would just be, a ridiculous traffic jam at that point. I saw a story I saw a story with the news partners over WBRZ the other day, about a crack in a column on the Mississippi River Bridge. Tell me about that and what's behind it.
Well, basically what has happened is it's the delamination of the concrete that's on the outside of the actual, you know, the column there. And so it's more cosmetic than anything. We've known about it for a while, and we continually monitoring, and they are doing all kinds of testing to determine that the load-bearing members of that column are not impacted at all. And I know that it doesn't look good,
right?
But it is safe. And you know, I tell you what, Brian, and not your audience. Your audience is of high intellect. But if you ever want to feel better about yourself, read some of the Facebook comments on some of these things. And you know, it's just crazy. And they had an engineer who was on there and said, "Look, I looked at this. I've seen it, and it's a cosmetic. It's not going to have any impacts. They're going to have to fix it sooner or later, or it could deteriorate." And then, you know, they shot this guy down real quick. So the people who are inspecting that column are federally certified bridge inspectors, and they do that for a living. And they inspect all our bridges across the state. And we are aware, and we are in the process of putting together plans and contracts. We might do it in-house to repair that, so there will not be further damage. But it is just it doesn't look good, but it's sound.
Got a couple minutes left with Rodney Mallet from DOTD. We talked about bridge inspections the last time you were on, and how where we're at with keeping up with all the inspections.
That was for the ocean-faring vessel.
That's right.
Study. Yeah.
To make sure that nothing was smacking into them. Rodney, I actually had a text message in the break before having you on here. Can you give us an update on the timing of the I-10 widening project?
I really don't know the timing off the top of my head right now. I'll have to look to see what kind of updates we have, because we have made changes on that project as we are going, such as I think it's the Louise Street on-ramp.
Okay.
Over there by the 110 split. We're looking at making some changes over there. So for safety mainly, because the way the configuration is going to end up being, that on-ramp kind of be obsolete. And what it would do is it leads people trying to get on the interstate and shooting over really quickly to get over to go to I-10 west toward Lafayette. And so, you know, we're looking at ways to manage that maneuver, much like the College Street, the Washington Street exit, the people who weave over to that exit, called congestion and an unsafe weaving maneuver. That's what we're going to see here. So anyway, to make a short story long, is we're making some changes as we go, and I do not know the timeline. I do know that as you drive through, you can see the progress that they're making there at the City Park Lakes, going West, and what we're trying to do as we do the phases in this project is do the ones that are going to have the most impact on the traveling public when they're complete.
We'll just put you down for further details on that the next time you're on with us. In the meanwhile, we always appreciate the time and the update. He's Rodney Mallet from DOTD. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, all right. Anytime. See you later.
Later on. We'll talk to you soon. 748 at Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. We are going to, we're hit up your money now here in just a minute. I do need to remind you, and we will be reminding you all month long about the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Talk 1073 in the Baton Rouge Clinic. We've teamed up again. I love doing this. We do it every year. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. Their families part, it should not be overlooked here. We've got some pretty close friends who are now a dream family as well. As their son's been battling cancer, and he got his dream not too long ago with a trip to Disney World, and he and my boy have been friends since daycare. To see the impacts, to see the relief, to see the complete de-stressing of being able to say, I have a moment to just, let's say, go to Disney World. I have a moment to just enjoy myself and let my kid be a kid and not be in the constant battle with the therapies and the medications and everything that goes into these kids that are battling life-threatening illnesses. But like I said, the families as well, who are at the bedside, the mothers and fathers who don't get to sleep, the siblings who are having part of their childhood robbed because all the attention is on the kid who has the life-threatening illness. Dreams Come True steps in and helps out across the board. And that's why we do what we do. Make your donation at talk1073.com. 750, here comes your money now. Well, that was supposed to be my BTR read. Stone says all the trucks on the interstate and other pass-through traffic could take the bypass. Oh, wait. Awesome. So right. Haggai says, talk about the tariffs. That means a bottle of scotch is going to be more expensive because we can't make scotch here in the USA. So drink bourbon. Byron says, Haggai, I'm with my people. If the first thing we worry about regarding the tariffs is booze. And then Renee says, my favorite wine is from Italy. Oh, we're going to make America drunk again. Look, I like a vodka martini, right? And my vodka of choice, based off of price point and complete lack of hangovers, Tito's, which is made in Texas. Yes, it's good stuff. Well, vermouth, which I think does come from Italy.
Some Tito's with cranberry juice, man. That's some good stuff too.
Tito's and soda's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. I've gotten like 4 more messages right there. We need to do something with Rodney where it's a ask DOTD. That's
because everyone wants to know. I mean,
yeah,
they have so many questions.
But like, I got Brian Hightower from the food bank says, "Can you ask him about the beefing up striping and reflectors on the interstate through Baton Rouge? It's difficult to see the lanes at times. Baton Rouge to Ascension is rough." He addressed that the last time he was on when he talked about how when they were scraping all the snow off the interstate, they actually they scraped off the reflectors too. So they're in the process of replacing a lot of those. Trey Godfrey from the Chamber was the one asking about the Whiting project. He says it's tough to get a straight answer on the project and plan and timeline. Ryan asked about Nicholson. Well, asked about why is it on Nicholson? It feels like it's going to bottom out on campus. I don't know what that means. I wonder if Rodney would be up for that. Kind of a regular ask DOTD segment. $7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. I almost said WBTR. I looked down at my sheet. It's time to remind you about the folks over at BTR, Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. FlyBTR.com. If your business has business in our nation's capital, you need the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Why? Because there's a daily direct flight to our nation's capital. And not only is there a direct flight there, there's a direct flight home as well, same day. Fly out in the morning. In fact, it leaves in the 7 o'clock hour of the morning. Fly home same night. So much more convenient than hauling an hour down the interstate, paying for the parking, hauling an hour down the interstate and dealing with the TSA maze. I mean, look, New Orleans has done a lot to improve the airport, but you can't beat flying out of your own backyard. It's just not possible. They're right here. Rather than paying for parking, if you Uber to the airport, how easy is that? Or ask your neighbor for a ride. When you factor in everything that goes into the equation, it's so much more convenient. And especially when that plane lands and you come back home, how great is it to land and then hop on 110 for 5 minutes before getting on to, getting on your way home versus hopping on the interstate for an hour. It just drags on the way back. Top-notch convenience, overall value, and not to mention you are supporting local business when you fly BTR, flybtr.com. Go from flying to driving real quick. This is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Saw some stories about this yesterday. I didn't know it was going to pick up. Our news partners of Louisiana Radio Network, they talked with Rodney's boss, the Department of Transportation Secretary Joe Donahue. He says that distracted driving last year alone led to 180 fatalities and 1,295 on to serious injuries.
That's 180 empty seats at dinner tables, 1,295 families whose lives were turned upside down, and countless friends and loved ones left grieving or caring for someone who may never fully recover.
Cell phones are believed to be a major contributor to distracted or inattentive crashes. Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple, who was on with us the other day, said Well, he's urging parents to set an example of not using a phone while behind the wheel.
If they see you using a phone while driving or texting while driving, it's just a natural progression. They're going to think that that's okay. So model good behavior for your kids.
I've gotten in the habit of handing the phone to my daughter who's riding shotgun and say, here, text your mom. Here, text the family chat. Here, I need you to, text Cade back or whatever. Like if I'm sitting, I'm not texting while driving anymore. I used to try to squeeze it in at a red light. It's just so much easier to treat my kid as if they're my secretary. Take a memo. Abby, take a memo. Abby, send your mom a text. It's so much easier. Louisiana highways. Oh, by the way, you heard that soundbite from Tim Tempa. If you weren't listening in the last hour, there's going to be a distracted driving bill in the upcoming legislative session as well. Meanwhile, Louisiana Highway Safety Commission Executive Director Lisa Freeman says, when talking about that distracted driving bill, they're going to push to approve a hands-free primary law, which would allow police officers to ticket drivers who use a handheld cell phone while driving.
States who have gone in that direction over the last several decades have really seen tremendous results.
Meanwhile, I could still mount my phone on my dashboard and put on a movie. I don't know where I was going with that. That's a thing. That's a thing that you see regularly. I've got the best answer of all. All right. You ready for this? Let's go back to the standard transmission. How much fun was it to drive a stick? Now, just about everything out there is automatic. But if you go to stick, both your hands are being used. You can't use your phone. Hour 3's next. Oh, I gotta get up. My phone says I gotta stand up. Let me go let Whitney in. Sorry.
Good. How are you?
LSU's pitcher last night, Kate Anderson, 9 innings, 14 strikeouts, 135 pitches. Pitched a shutout against Oklahoma.
Oh,
He
man,
went to my high school.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh. Public meeting. 806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now, and it is a busy hour. No Foodie Friday today. No Foodie Friday today. I got Hill and Moore on the docket for 8:35. No. Hungry for justice. That's what we are.
That's it.
That's right. We got Hill and Moore joining us.
I am justice.
Our district attorney coming up at 8:35. We got Whitney Hoffman Sayal from the Downtown Development District coming up in our next segment. So busy hour. We are not anywhere near done for the week. This is I'm sorry, I'm hitting refresh on the weather, trying to get you an up-to-date temperature here so that I can start the hour off properly like I'm supposed to. 79 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. I'm not looking forward to this last cold snap. I know I want every ounce of cold that we can get, because once it gets hot, but we don't need another like weekend gully washer, and it's looking like that's what we're going to get tomorrow night. Anyway, we'll have another forecast for you in half an hour. Right now, it's time for This Day in History. I have lunch with my boy Danny from 5 Star Printing and Signs next week. I was texting back and forth with him. Well, it's been too long, and I actually since he's opened, I haven't been out to see the new digs out there.
Yeah.
So it's way overdue.
I need to stop in. It looks like a really it's big.
Yes.
Way bigger than where
Right
he was
there
at
next
before.
to Big Mike's and Denham. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, let us begin in 1789, where the first U.S. Congress begins regular sessions during George Washington's presidency at Federal Hall, New York.
To this day in 1789 was the first time Congress convened.
That's it.
Awesome.
Let's see. 1949, the North Atlantic Treaty is signed in Washington, D.C., establishing the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is NATO, a military alliance between Western nations.
Wait,
So
when
NATO
was this one?
Was formed in 1949.
1949.
Yep. Today, tragic news here. 1968, U.S. civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. is assassinated.
Wait. I'm looking at the original members of NATO.
Oh.
The founding member nations.
Yeah.
Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, the United Kingdom, and us. That was it?
Yeah.
That has grown so much.
Yep.
All right.
Fast
forward back to 1968.
The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. today. Yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee.
That's it. By James Earl Ray. Of course, that same year, riots break out in over 100 cities in the United States following his assassination. 1973, the World Trade Center opens in New York as the world's tallest building at 110 stories. Later destroyed, of course.
Well,
9/11.
yes.
I just have to, read that.
Also later,
in case someone missed it.
Eclipsed as the world's tallest building. I mean, it's so.
In 1975, Microsoft is founded as a partnership between Bill Gates and Paul Allen.
Okay.
So that happened as well. 2022, Elon Musk buys 9.2% of Twitter stock, making him the company's largest shareholder, and we know how that ended.
Well, it hasn't ended.
Well, no. But I mean, we know how that deal went down. Let's just say that.
Yes. Any day now, it's going to shut down. By the way.
Oh,
any day now.
I'm sure.
That's no. He ruined it, and it's gone. It's going to go away.
Yep. Anything else on this day?
Okay. On this day in 1993.
Okay.
William Jefferson Clinton becomes, get this, the first U.S. president to throw out the first pitch of the Major League Baseball season from the mound. Yes. The full 60 feet, 6 inches. Not the little, I'm standing off to the side of the mound and I throw a little ceremonial pitch. No. Bill Clinton, he towed the rubber, and it doesn't say if he threw a strike or not.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a strike. I guess it depends on what the meaning of the word strike is.
Right.
Yes. All right. Birthdays, what you got?
Maya Angelou at the top of this list.
Sure.
Robert Downey Jr. today.
Sure.
Heath Ledger.
Okay.
Let's see. Comedian David Cross as well today. It's stacked. Muddy Waters.
Wait, David Cross makes your list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
All right. Yeah. No. The you got Maya Angelou. You got Muddy Waters.
Hey, man.
You got the guy that played the bad guy in Alvin and the Chipmunks. That's where you're at right now.
Yes.
Awesome.
What about Craig T. Nelson?
Heath Ledger, the Joker.
Yeah.
And the guy that played the bad guy on Alvin and the Chipmunks.
How's this one for comedians? Eric Andre also today.
No, not to be mentioned.
What?
You
what?
No,
hey,
stop.
I struck a nerve.
You know better than to do that.
Struck a nerve.
No, because I did that. I had Eric Andre on the show.
And for those who don't know, in case you don't know, Brian really gets fired up about this.
Because
but his face is right in front of me. I'm sorry, I had to mention it.
No, he punted on the interview. He was a complete asshat from start to finish. And I'm like, dude, if I'm wasting your time, you're wasting mine. Can we just call it right here?
How long was the interview?
How long was it supposed to be, or how long was it?
Both.
9 minutes is what it was scheduled for. You know what it went?
You couldn't even make it 9 minutes with him?
It went 2 1/3.
Oh, my
At
God.
2:20, I hung up.
I don't think we ever discussed this on how long it was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be 9 minutes.
Jill Scott's birthday.
Bleep
today.
that guy.
Do you have anybody else?
Anthony Perkins, we know from Psycho. You mentioned Muddy Waters, right?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. Tom Jackson from ESPN, former Broncos linebacker, ESPN analyst Tom Jackson had him on the list as well.
Okay. Of course, deaths today: Martin Luther King Jr.
Sure.
William Henry Harrison, which I found out was the first U.S. president to die in the office and had the shortest presidency in U.S. history.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Ebert as well today.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like his name pops up 4 or 5 times a year on the death list. Like Roger Ebert dies more than there's truck month. He's I don't know why. It feels like it's a regular thing.
That's wild.
Yeah. Oh, Carl Benz died on this day in 1929. You recognize that last name right there. We also had, you mentioned William Henry Harrison, and that was all I had.
All right. National days today. You know what? This is a good one. School Librarian Day.
Yes, that's a fantastic one. Good stuff. Good. School Librarian Day. 8:13 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. So we do have rain coming on Saturday and a little cold snap to follow. But you know, when you have that repeat of like the rain and our humidity and everything, it takes a toll on your home, takes a toll on your roof, takes a toll on your business, can leave it not just looking bad, but it's actually bad for your roof. That's why I tell you every day about CajunSoftwash.com. CajunSoftwash.com is the website. Yes, the algae, the mold, the mildew, these things can actually eat away at your shingles and shorten the lifespan of your roof. The folks at Cajun Soft Wash, they've got a 100% safe and effective mix of chemicals. And it is a soft wash, so nobody's trampling all over your roof walking around. Nobody is pressure washing the roof, ruining your shingles. It's a soft wash, which helps prolong the lifespan of your roof. And of course, when it comes to your walls of either your home or your business, put your best foot forward. Get it looking good. Get rid of that green tinge that's on there. Bring it back to its beautiful color. Check them out at CajunSoftwash.com. Quick break. Whitney, Hoffman, Sayal up next. I forget what my first question was, but he chose to ignore the question and talk about having sex with a horse. What?
Oh, gross.
I know.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
Let's start with this weekend. Blues. Oh, is there a contingency plan for Blues Fest?
I don't know all the details, but yes.
Okay. And would you say the public meeting was about?
It'll be in about a month or so, and we'll release the details soon. But it's going to be getting feedback.
No, the one you said you went to last night.
Oh, Bike Ped Master Plan.
Bike, that's right.
Update.
How popular are bike paths in Baton Rouge?
They're getting more and more popular, and I think it's going to explode within the next 5 years because we have a lot of projects underway that will connect each other. So you'll be able to go pretty long distances safely. And so I think once that happens, there'll be more and more people getting into it.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of intimidating right now, right?
Yeah, I just also don't know how popular bicycling is overall. Like, is that?
I mean, it's a good way to stay in shape.
No doubt.
Now, you know, when it gets really, really hot, I don't know. And also there's different kind of bikes coming out, you know, where they're electric powered assist. So you can get, you know, you don't have to put in as much energy.
Right.
You know, popular during games and big giant events because you don't have to wait in traffic lines. We have a 13.1 mile levee path. So, but we need more.
13.1 miles.
Mm-hmm.
How far down is that?
Goes all the way down to Laberge.
Really?
It does. Now, the thing is, we need more destinations along the way, right? Like,
yeah.
Can you imagine like a place where you could stop on the riverfront, have some coffee and beignets, go a couple miles, and there'll be, you know, like a brewery or something. You could have to stop and have a beer. There needs to be more concerted destinations along the way, like the St. Tammany Trace.
Yes.
But yeah, we have 13 miles.
I'm always curious because it feels like we put a lot of emphasis on bike paths.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the level of output that we give is equal to the community that's there. Like, there's no other hobby in Baton Rouge that we put that kind of effort into.
It's a chicken and an egg thing, though, right? Like, people, if you don't feel safe doing it, you're not going to do it.
Right.
Well, you're not going to feel safe doing it unless you have the bike path.
Right.
So,
yeah,
it's a growing culture.
818 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. A big weekend in downtown Baton Rouge, and well, it's a lot going on in downtown Baton Rouge. So every so often, I like to check in with Whitney Hoffman Sayal. She heads up the downtown development district. How are you? How have you been?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. The last time I saw you briefly at the celebrity bowling.
Yes.
Right before bowling got underway.
We bowled together.
Yes. So how'd you do?
I never got below 100, so I was
I hate
excited
you.
about that.
Okay. 174 in my first game.
You did good. I kept looking down.
And
there.
then an 88 and an 86.
Oh.
Yeah,
well.
you looked over in the first game. I was rocking it, but like my stamina dropped off quickly.
Well,
yeah.
Just count the first one.
Yeah, that's what I like to brag on. Well, no, I got to be honest about it. I could do better. Speaking of which, though, the bowling's been going on since.
Yes.
How's response been?
I mean, it's great. We love having the bowlers in town.
Mm-hmm.
We have about 60,000 that come in this 3 to 4 month period.
Right.
The restaurants are packed. There's people on the streets. There's stuff for them to do with Blues Fest and Live After 5 starting, all of those things happening. So downtown is popping.
As it should be. And yeah, this is going to be, that's the thing about the bowling is it's all summer long. Like it's over the course of 5 months. So there's never going to be a time where it's like everybody's jammed up at once.
Right.
But it's this continual uptick, this prolonged plateau, if you will.
Exactly.
You mentioned Live After 5 gets started this afternoon. Live After 5 also kicks off the Baton Rouge Blues Fest. Talk to me a little bit about what we can expect from this year's Blues Fest.
Well, you can expect what you've grown to love over the past few years, I think. We've got some really good headliners. Over 30 bands I counted. So I mean, that's a lot. And I enjoy music. I can't pretend to know all of the names, but tonight we kick off with Jonathan Boogie Long,
Yep.
And Hannah PK and Jovan Webb, but we've got Kenny Neal, all kinds of different artists coming out. It's going to be phenomenal.
See, I don't pretend to know. I know Kenny Neal.
Right.
Like that's really all you need to know. That dude puts on a show.
He does.
He's
why he sticks in my mind.
Unbelievable. As the headliner, he's unbelievable when he plays Live After 5 as well. And so is Jonathan Boogie Long, for that matter. That being said, though, looking at the forecast for late tomorrow and then early Sunday.
Yeah, we've all been glued to our weather app for sure, right?
A little bit.
But I will say that there are contingency plans in place,
Okay.
right? So it's not going to be a flat out cancellation. I would say the best thing to do is stay on our website, our social media, or the Blues Fest website and social media, and we'll be making those announcements of how things are getting moved around shortly. But yeah, we have contingency plans in place.
We've got Whitney Hoffman sailing with us from the Downtown Development District, talking about downtown overall. But I want to stick with one more about the concerts here, about Live After 5, because kicks off this week. Mayor President Sid Edwards made sure, and they got sponsors for it and whatnot. They were looking at scaling it back, but instead it will be the full 6 concert series. How important is that for downtown to have? I mean, it's always a great crowd. It's always a good time. Even the fall series when it starts off hot, but I mean, it's always time. How important is it for downtown to maintain things like that?
It's very important, right? So the more people you have downtown, the more that they're going into the businesses, the more that they're enjoying our downtown space and each other. And I think it's not just about being good for downtown, it's good for our community.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I love about Live After 5. If you look around, it's such a diverse crowd of different ages, different cultures, all hanging out, having a good time, enjoying music. It's free. It's just a great community event.
And you talk about the diversity of the crowd is matched by the diversity of the lineup.
Yes.
Because it's a different type of music every single time out. You got, like we said, Jonathan Boogie Long today. Next Friday is a band called Pocket Chocolate.
Yeah. It sounds good.
New Orleans-based funk, blues, and soul, featuring Zach Edwards and The Medicine. So next week is Pocket Chocolate. The week after that will be Fat Hat. I believe that's the week I'm emceeing. Friday, May 2nd will be 6 String Soldiers featuring David St. Remain. You don't want to miss that one. Friday, May 9th, the Mixed Nuts. You ever seen the Mixed Nuts?
They're fun.
They are high energy.
They are.
They are. Once they start, they don't. It's like you
don't
get that
you watching them.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And then it'll wrap up with the Michael Foster Project, which is an absolute staple of the series.
Yes.
Michael Foster Project probably is there. I don't want to say every series, but once a year. So,
yeah. That's accurate, I think. And then, the only Friday that we'll be skipping is Good Friday.
Of course. Let's talk downtown overall. Let's talk master plan overall, Plan BR3 and the like. What's the latest here?
I'm super excited. So the contract is moving forward with the consultants that were selected, Sasaki and team. Sasaki's been involved in a lot of projects all over the world, but Baton Rouge as well. So they're familiar with us, which is great. They got a head start, but we have packaged up all of the inventory, just different GIS layers, all kinds of data stuff for them to be able to understand the true dynamics and landscape of Baton Rouge. Kind of want to give a shout out to the city GIS department. Man, they have so much data. We something we're very blessed with, and the more data you get, the better your plan's going to be.
So Sasaki's taking on all the data right there. Are they given a direction that they're supposed to follow, or is it just? I feel like we know where we want downtown to go. But how do we keep them on the right path?
Yeah, I mean, I think between the Baton Rouge Area Foundation and our office as well, we're going to make sure that we get the best plan we possibly can, just like the previous 2 plans, right? There is a scope of work, and so there is definitely direction. We know the riverfront's in the mix of that, right? Like we've got to figure out how to amplify our riverfront. But also, it's really a plan is not as good. It's only as good as the public input. So there will be a public meeting, probably several, or at least a few, but one within the next month or so. and to get the public feedback to see what they want. And that is ultimately going to provide the direction of how they move forward.
What they want as far as the riverfront's concerned, or the whole plan?
The whole thing.
Yeah.
I think it's good. They'll have different questions to ask. They'll go over what they've learned, gathering the inventory with the public, and then get some feedback. But we'll also be providing opportunities for additional feedback at periodic times during the plan. But we definitely need the public to come out to say what it is that they want to see.
Whitney Hoffman Sayal's with us, talking about downtown and where the master plan is headed. As far as the riverfront part of the plan is concerned, I hesitate to bring it up, but the term "ought to been alive" came back up again. Now, this was well before your time. I don't know how much of it you got schooled up on.
I was in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
But it was before I was at the DDD.
Yeah. The possibility of something like that coming back up, is that even on the table?
I think so, right? I mean, if you think about where we would be if that had passed,
right?
It was very narrowly defeated,
yes.
Right? I think people do want to see things. When we talk about keeping our young professionals in the area versus leaving and going to other cities, we got to have those major attractions that keep them here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people know that. I think we also want things a place to bring our children. We've got some great opportunities in Baton Rouge, but we need more.
The other parts of this, of course, the revamping of the River Center and whatnot. Do we need direction on that, or is that just we know where that one's headed?
I think the most important part to keep in mind is that we've been knowing that the River Center needs some sort of transformation, right? We've been knowing that for years. It's woefully outdated. And so I think there's an opportunity to make sure that whatever is happening with the River Center is aligned with what's happening at the riverfront. If you design or plan either one of those things separately, you're missing an opportunity to make sure. I mean, it's called the River Center.
Right.
So it should be better connected to the riverfront, right? There should be a seamless interaction with somebody who's going to the River Center and getting to the riverfront and vice versa.
Keeping it with the riverfront, and I know there's more to downtown than just the riverfront, but keeping it with the riverfront, it's so glaring and noticeable with the USS Kid missing, and now with the casinos moving on land. Our riverfront's gotten really naked really fast.
I mean, there's still a lot to do. We were talking about the 13-mile levee trail, right? So it starts in downtown Baton Rouge, goes to LaBerge. I think that you're right. There's opportunities for more things, right?
Yes.
I really would like to see a place where you could stop and get coffee and beignets before you hop on your bike and go down this levee trail, right?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of even small interventions that could make a huge difference. The USS Kid is coming back, though.
No, I know. So I got the skinny on that is once they got out of the water, they found a lot more was wrong with it than they originally thought.
Yeah.
And I need to reach back out to get them back on again. But it's going to take a little bit longer than originally thought, but they want to make sure they do it right.
Right.
Which is the important part.
But also, let me say, when we talk about the casinos, I'm kind of happy those riverboats are gone, right?
No,
I mean,
yes.
The investment that the casinos have made landside, we're talking over $200 million combined. That's a lot.
Yes, and they're doing it right.
And it's great. I mean, I'm not much of myself a gambler, but you go to the Queen and enjoy all of the sport screens. I mean, it's almost overwhelming how much you can watch at one time.
What they've put into the Queen and the DraftKings casino and the 5 restaurants inside, and all that's going to come to the Bell as well.
Exactly.
And the fact that they're shared ownership, so they're able to partner together and not give you two of the same product.
Exactly.
They're giving you two completely different products that can collaborate together. It is phenomenal. We got 2 minutes left with Whitney Hoffman Sayal. Go back to the bike path. You mentioned the 13 miles on the levee.
Yes.
You said you were at a public meeting last night.
Yes, it was at Breck. So they're doing an update of the bicycle pedestrian master plan, getting public feedback for that. We're just really excited about updating it. You know, downtown, we really prioritize our bicycle and pedestrian paths with the downtown greenway and those sort of things. And just thinking about what is going to be coming over the next 5 years to really connect safely different paths in our parish is really exciting.
The last one before I get you out of here, it is Love the Boot Week. Y'all have an event downtown, just like everybody else does right about now. Love the Boot Week's really taking off, but what's going on here?
We do. So actually, our office will be outside. You'll see me cleaning. That's why I'm wearing jeans today. Several departments with the city parish today are spending some time picking up. We'll be downtown at our office and around doing that. But then also tomorrow from 9 to 11, we're hosting another cleanup where we welcome volunteers. So please come out. We'll be meeting at our office, which is 24/7 Florida Street from 9 to 11, just showing our love for downtown and picking it up.
She is Whitney Hoffman Sayal. We always appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We did mention Live After 5 right there. That is back as of this evening. Also want to mention, speaking of the Raising Cane's River Center, Rob Schneider's on his way. Y'all Talk 107.3 is welcoming in comedian Rob Schneider to the Raising Cane's River Center for the You Can Do It tour. I have to say it like that, I'm told. You can register right now to win your tickets at talk1073.com. And if you subscribe to our YouTube page, you will get an extra entry. 8:30. We got news, traffic, weather. District Attorney Hiller Moore's next. I didn't get to it. The latest, the email y'all send out, the drift.
Yeah. What do you think of that, by the way?
I love it.
Great.
I absolutely love it.
Wonderful.
The comparison between Live After 5 and Tuscaloosa. I meant to get into that, and I didn't.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. We really revamped that to be more than just here's the events this weekend.
Well, no, but it covers all the events for sure.
It's that in addition to all these other and getting people to think outside. Like what are other downtowns doing? How do we compare? What could we do? Those sort of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just there's a lot of exciting things that go on downtown that I don't think people focus on. Tend to focus on negative more than anything. So we try to make that a positive outlet.
So, but when I talk about the riverfront being Navy, boats. It looked great. We had 2 paddle wheel boats up there, which is pretty.
You know what? I just missed the opportunity to talk about. So there is a Baton Rouge Riverboat cruise now that is doing brunch, dinner, appetizers.
Kill the mics. Kill the mics. Kill the mics. Not the cruise I thought she was talking about. There's a cruise that goes up and down the Mississippi River for the lasts like 2 weeks.
Oh.
But it costs an arm and a freaking leg. That's the one I thought she was talking about.
Okay.
One more round with the cold weather. That's what we've got coming our way. Now, it's going to rain before that, though. So here's what we're looking at. Today's high is getting up to 88. Now, we're going to have more wind today, just like we saw the last couple days. Although I don't think it's going to be as bad. 2 days ago, the wind was significant. Yesterday, a little bit less so. Today, you expect the wind to be just under 20 miles per hour, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. We're going to have it again tomorrow with a high of 87. Now, tomorrow evening, looking ahead to about 6 o'clock is when there's a 30% chance of rain in the forecast. By 9 o'clock, that's up to 50-50. And then in the overnight hours, you're talking a 90% chance of rain. So Saturday night into Sunday morning, we will have thunderstorms. That being said, Saturday's overnight low into Sunday is 64. Sunday's high is 67. It's not going to go up at all. The temperature's not going to go up at all on Sunday. Overnight low Sunday night is 50. We're going to top out at 62 on Monday and then get back down to 43 heading into Tuesday. Tuesday, we'll see daytime temperatures back into the 70s. Overnight lows will be in the upper 40s, lower 50s as we make our way through the week. And by next Friday, we'll be back in the 80s again. Right now, we are cloudy and 79 in downtown Baton Rouge. Hmm. 8:38 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to welcome back our district attorney. Hilda Moore is in the house. He has a lot of ground to cover today.
Yeah.
We got a lot going on. How are you,
Yeah.
sir?
I'm doing great. Never knew.
Doing very well as well. Where do you want to start today? Because I know we normally talk just about numbers and whatnot, but
start on good stuff. This was a rough week. Tuesday, Wednesday, I think we had 3 total homicides. So,
yeah.
But we are at 25% below this year as of even that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're surely starting off better than we have in the past, although we're only in our 4th month. But it is better than what we were last year.
Yes.
So 25% below is good. And so we'll hopefully continue on that.
One of the homicides from this week was on, I believe it was Lamarche Avenue. And why can't we solve that neighborhood? It's like a 6 square block radius. You got Tams or Tamery Drive, Lamarche, the neighborhood behind Sonny's Barbecue.
Yeah. Always changing population there.
Yeah.
Transient kind of movement there. But just like anything else, the more that you focus and the more you pay attention, the more you put money to a problem, the more that you will get help. So, and there's so many spots that are like that we need to get to. So that is one of them.
Yeah.
But surely it's on everyone's radar to get there. But money is an issue, and personnel is an issue. So that is big.
Those two things are going to come back up real soon.
Yes.
As we're talking with our district attorney, Hilda Moore. Before we get into the how more money can become available, I want to tap into, this isn't necessarily your battle overall, but last week the governor mentioned replicating Troop NOLA for Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Number one, how real is that? How effective would it apply here?
So I heard that, and I know I've spoken with the governor along with the sheriff. We actually met at the mansion to discuss the new parish prison, a new juvenile detention facility, also a regional detention facility at the old LTI Jetson facility. It's a lot of land there. and they are building things there now. So the question would be whether we could build the new prison, juvenile court, or juvenile detention center there. How much money it would cost? It's a big number, as you know. Just
120 million. Am I close?
I don't know if that's even close, but
really,
it's a lot.
No,
it's a lot of money.
Okay,
it is a lot of money. So that is the big question. And so, with regard to Troop NOLA, I don't think that what the governor has envisioned is a Troop Baton Rouge. I think what he has envisioned is to providing our existing law enforcement, the sheriff and the city police, with additional investigative support that would help them on the cases that they're working on and the locations that they're working on. That's my understanding. As to what he means by that, we haven't really personally spoken about that, but I have spoken with the colonel, I've spoken with the attorney general. So I think it's different. It will not be a troop.
We have, I know, when you talk about homicides or non-fatals or anything like that, we have similarities in that regard, but the overall nature of crime here is different than it is in New Orleans.
And I think when you talk to the colonel will tell you, look, we don't need a troop NOLA in Baton Rouge because we all work together right now, state police and all of us.
Right.
So we would just maybe be enhancing what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So, that yet to be seen. But look, any help that we can get would be great. And for sure, the sheriff and the city know where the bad guys are, where the problems are, and maybe some additional eyes and follow-up could help.
We've got our district attorney in with us, Hill or Moore. All right, let's talk about coming up, just shy of a month from now, if I'm not mistaken. A month from now is another election here in Louisiana, another election here in Baton Rouge, and you have an item on this ballot.
Yeah, so this is, one that not easy to talk about or ask. It's when you're asking people to raise their taxes. And, we know we've had discussions about BREC and the library with the with the mayor, and how that goes. People have opinions, surely, one way or the other. But we're at the point now at our office's history where we just are not well funded. We never have been well funded, and we, not by anyone's intent or purpose, it just happens to be how much money we have and what they've allocated for the DA's office. And given the amount of crime that we've had, the backlog that we have, we need to have more money. And this is right now the only way that we can get it done.
Okay, let's start with the backlog. How bad is the backlog, and where is the backlog?
So I think we just should only focus on homicides, and that's around 230, 250 yet to be tried. That's just a big number. And when you think about that, you think about we're on the heels of COVID, of 2 or 3 years that just shut down, not being able to try cases. And during those years, if you recall, the count was 150 and 125.
Yes.
And so that just really created a much bigger backlog. And when you have a DA's office that's short of DAs and a public defender that's short of public defenders, and judges that are not able to get to court because of COVID and hurricanes and floods, etc., the backlog just continues. When you have backlogs at the crime lab for DNA, you name it, it all adds to that. So what the goal is to have more additional assistant DAs that can not have to be in court all day long doing regular things that are necessary, but stay back and prepare trials for court to answer ready much quicker. Same thing on the public defender side. And although I cannot raise the tax money for a public defender, I can for the DA. If this tax were to pass, that would free up the $8.6 million that the city parish funds me for my total amount of budget that goes back to the mayor, city council, and they then can fund the public defender at a higher rate to make them more consistent with our office. So you don't want to have a DA's office that's outsized that of a public defender, because although we don't work together, we do work somewhat against each other, but you have to have someone to try the cases against, and they are who we do 75% of our work.
Yeah.
So they have to be funded. And so my suggestion is to the city council and the mayors that if this does pass, please seriously consider giving the public defender additional amounts of money, as well as the mayor can use money for the police and fire overtime that he's dealing with right now. So I think there's a benefit, and the cost is $5 a month for my tax. Should people agree to support it?
$5 a month. That's on average, though. I mean,
On average,
yeah, it's
$200 and something $1,000 house would be a $5.
Right.
So it's a $4 million, and we have the ability to roll it back if it looks like we're raising too much money for the office. That every 4 years we can roll that tax back and make the millage less than what it is.
How did you come to this particular number?
Just with looking at the budgets of Orleans and Jefferson, their budgets are around $24 million a year, and that's what $4 million would produce. And we're nowhere close to them. So, and we are the biggest city, the most amount of homicides, and we've been that way for years. And we've been underfunded, and they've been having that budget at $24 million for years. We have had a budget of 14 to 16. It's just the numbers are there.
We're talking with District Attorney Hiller Moore. He's going to have a millage on the May 3rd ballot that would help fund his office. All right, you got a packet here with some numbers. What do we need to break down here in talking about this?
Basically, the numbers just show what the city parish per capita here, how much they spend for the district attorney's office, and then versus Jefferson Parish and Orleans. And we're at the $35 rate. Orleans and Jefferson at the $55 rate per capita per person. So, we're just out of whack. We've been out of whack number wise since Huey Long. We have 54 assistant DA slots that we're given. Jefferson's given 55. However, with the money that they have, a $24 million budget, they have 75 assistant DAs, and Orleans has 84 slots for assistant DAs.
Okay.
So when you compare that to 54 of Baton Rouge, you know why we are where we are. And we are the most populous place for at least the last 4 years. You just can't keep up with that.
Is staffing the only problem in clearing out the backlog?
Staffing is a huge problem, and it's not only just attorneys; it's the support staff of investigators, analysts.
Sure.
And then now, as you know, we've talked forever, DNA backlog or outsourcing, and then cell phone and digital types of evidence that you have to keep up with, which is very difficult to do.
How available are? I know this is going to sound like a completely ignorant question. How available are courtrooms? I mean, like even fully staffed, do we have the physical time and space to get caught up to knock this number out?
Yes, and I think the judges, for the last several years, the judges have, along with the DAs and the public defender, come up with the idea of if you have commissioners, like we now have 4 commissioners, when in the past we had 1 or 2. The commissioners do the more, I hate to say, mundane work of regular stuff that takes a lot of time for the trial court judges who actually try the cases.
Yeah.
So by taking those duties away from the trial court now is more open to actually have trials that can be set and can be heard when they're called, as long as DAs and public defenders are ready to go.
We've got District Attorney Hiller Moore in with us. He's going to stick around for our last segment of the show. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, the conversation will continue on air. We're going to visit in or check in with Your Money Now and get one more check of traffic. As we're talking about, there will be a millage on your May 3rd ballot that would fund his office or help fund his office. Want to remind you one more time, Coach Beth Torina and the Tigers hit the road. No, I'm sorry. They've hit the road on Tuesday to play McNeese. They're back home tonight for a 3-game series against Alabama. Tonight at 6, tomorrow night at 6, Sunday at 4, all 3 games right here on Talk 107.3 FM. All right. It's 8:50. Here's Your Money Now. Can I peruse this real quick?
Absolutely. It's yours. John should have emailed it to you. And early voting is the 19th of April.
Okay.
Also, if you wanted to give an update on the Afghan family, they're doing very well.
Yes, I do.
And the fentanyl, we're 25% below what we were last year, which is 35% below. So we're continuing a steady decline.
Good to know.
There's a lot more graphs that might be easier to.
See this right here. I don't know how you're not screaming every day. I did. Yeah. Okay. So Facebook, I'm reading from EBR District Attorney relies on an inconsistent and insufficient annual discretionary appropriation from the city parish to finance most of its operations. Now, we just saw 10 rounds fought over the library, keeping as much of their millage as possible. Like, we just went to the polls last fall to make sure that Breck was flush. And boy, are they flush. And look, I love Robbie, huge supporter of Breck. Absolutely. But, like, every different agency we see that gets to protect their dollars, the agency that protects us does not get to protect their dollars.
Correct.
That's about the best or the worst way to put it.
But you'll see in one of the slides where we're at a deficit, where Jefferson Parish has much of a surplus and Orleans has a surplus, but so we have to find ways to make it up.
My apologies.
Yeah,
It's been a
take your
long
time.
week.
I think there are other graphics that are more readily.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
So yeah, Orleans is 83. They have 70 to 75 assistant DAs, but they only are funded by the state 54. We're at 55, but they're able to, because of their budget at 24 million, hire more on their own.
It goes back to this one. This is just stark right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's the rest of the revenue come from?
They're just funded by the government, by their local government.
Okay. Well, no, like this 8.6 million is local funding. Where would the other that which is not?
That's where we are now. But we raised all the rest through grants and things that we have to find.
Try to figure out what's going to be translatable on air.
Yes.
Like how can I? What I can actually explain.
This here's the green line. We've been.
Yes, that's a good one. Okay. All right.
And then there's another population.
Okay.
Per capita spending.
You covered that. You covered that in the last segment really well. That's
population versus fund.
okay. Yeah.
We're in a deficit, and Jefferson, because they have a lot of money, even Orleans, we're able to keep money in the bank.
Yeah.
So I think those were the. So what we plan on doing is, if we're able to pass it, the law allows you to borrow some money ahead of time to get kind of started.
Yeah.
Before the money comes in, and that's what we would like to gear up slowly for it, instead of waiting to do it all at one time, because that'd be hard to do. And focusing on that. So, and then we're going to try to come up with an idea of how we can show people what the tax actually did, how we're able to speed things up, what's the difference between back then and now with the tax. And generally that's going to be a backlog, but a lot of that will depend on how many murders we add to our list this year and other years to come.
Well, okay, so if we had no more murders this year, how long would it take just to work on the backlog with nothing adding to it?
Average is 3.5 months.
Per trial?
Sorry, 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many of those can be worked at a time?
Well, you only have 8 sections of court, and you only have 50 ADA, 54 ADAs. not every ADA is enough to handle the case. And when I've just lost 8 section chiefs to the Attorney General's office.
Oh, good Lord.
Which is, and every U.S. attorney has been a district attorney. So, and we lose really good people because we have good people, which is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Judges as well. Look at all the judges.
Yeah. But the point is everything's moving. 856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. A couple minutes ago with District Attorney Hill or Moore, we're talking about the proposed millage that will be on your ballot coming up in May. And I'm looking through, our district attorney brought a number of, basically a printed out slideshow of how the numbers make sense and why we are where we are. And total revenue for the 19th office, 16 million in 2023, 16.238 million in 2023, compared to Jefferson Parish was 24 million. And Orleans Parish was 21.9. So call it 22, just to be sure. But what really stuck out to me here was our 16.2 million is for a population of 456,000 and change, right? Close to 457,000. All right. Jefferson's 24 million was for a population of 440,000, close to 441.
And add to that, that year we had 120 murders, and Jefferson had 18.
Oh.
And they have 75 assistant DAs versus 54 here. That's where the biggest difference is.
The side by sides get very, very loud.
Yeah.
When you look at it side by side, it gets very exacerbated and honestly quite frustrating. And I don't know if we were talking about this on air or during the break, but of all the different areas where we fund the things that we want, the area for things that we need, you've got to go back hat in hand. That's just
every year, and you don't know until December 18th what your budget is for January 1st. Hard to plan.
Yeah.
That way, particularly with technology now and the needs that you need for cell phones, and that it's tough keeping up with that.
We got less than a minute to go. We got right at a minute to go. I want to make sure I touch on this.
Yeah.
What's the latest on bringing the family in from Afghanistan? I know they got here a couple weeks ago.
They're doing extremely well. The people here have open arms, welcome them in. They took them to the fire station right where they lived, and the firemen put on a show for these kids. The youngest son, 4 years old, speaks the most proper English and is correcting mom and dad. Mom and dad are taking some more language skills, although they speak English well. They do not have a job yet because they're still waiting on Social Security cards. But they do have an apartment. We've had several people that have given them money to live on in the interim. We've had people that have donated every item of furniture, food, any kind of ware you need in the kitchen. One list went out and Amazon packages showed up at the doorstep the next day. It was unbelievable.
Awesome.
And how they feel.
Very awesome stuff. It's just, I'm glad to hear that particular end of the story is moving in the right direction. The overall story still continues though.
Yes.
As there are still a lot of folks that need to get out. In the meanwhile, we are straight up out of time on the air. He's District Attorney Hill and Moore. Stick around on Facebook for another minute. We're not done yet, but Moon Griffon's next. Just the super quick, the abbreviated version for those that are watching on Facebook that don't know the story of how this family from Afghanistan ended up here.
So the female was a prosecutor that prosecuted the Taliban members for not only war crimes, but particularly for crimes against women, rape, and domestic violence. And so she really the women have a target on their back. Her whole family was tortured after the United States left her. She has a lot of brothers were tortured for them to give up her whereabouts where she was. Her husband has scars all through his body where he was a journalist. And he was tortured to give up her whereabouts, which he obviously did not. He was jailed several times, let out of jail. We finally got them safely to an airport in Pakistan and got them here. All of their health care and mental health needs are now being addressed by folks that have given them free health care and mental health care. Their children have been immunized. And so we're working on it. It's a lot of work with a lot of people doing the work on the ground. not me.
Are they going to stay?
Yes.
Okay. Very
Yes.
cool. So yeah, the back end of this is we pulled out of Afghanistan. The U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan, and I know I'm not making light of it by making a movie reference here, but this is the way my mind processes it. Remember The Dark Knight Rises, when they took over the prison and they held their own courts and whatever? Well, when we pulled out of Afghanistan, that's what was left there. The Taliban was then back in charge. So you had everybody that we asked to step up and help as we moved in was left and abandoned when we moved out. So we're like, step up, run your legal system, and then we get out. And it's like, you're
exactly
on your own.
what happened.
So it's I know the Batman reference is probably not the
No,
most
that
apt,
is exactly
but
what happened.
that's the no.
I don't watch movies, but I
Okay.
assume that's accurate.
Yeah, it's one of the Batman villains was presiding as the
Okay.
judge in the court, and everybody was sentenced to death. Like everybody who was a prosecutor, everybody who was part of a cop, part of the legal system, they were all just sentenced to death for a little kangaroo court.
Well, the videos that we have of as the plane left with the Taliban with the keys to the jail that were actually at the airport is where the prison was, of them letting the Taliban members out and saying, go seek your revenge or hang the prosecutors, what they were, the terminology they used. And that's in fact what's been going on.
So yeah, that's the back end of this story. And Hitler was able to bring one of the families. That's not the only family to make it out. A lot have been relocated to different places in Europe, different places around the United States.
Yes.
We were able to get one here in Baton Rouge to where that's got to be a good feeling to say you'll be taken care of.
Yes.
Love it. We'll do fentanyl next time. No,
Yes.
we'll do fentanyl numbers next time. We're not going to do fentanyl. We'll cover numbers next time.
Sure.
And I want to get you on at least one more time before May 3rd.
Yeah. So April 18th is early voting. So
that's right. Okay.
We'll try that. I appreciate it.
My
Thanks,
pleasure.
Brian.
As always.
Have a good one.
Facebook,
Take
we'll see
care.
you all tomorrow.
Bye.